So dumb, Travis.
Why am I dumb? All right. Welcome back to the Sporting Lounge, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you. We're live on Shane's Twitch at derpimation.ttv.
Derpination.
Derpination. Not. It's Derpimation.
Derpination.
Austin, this is exactly why we discussed the Air Force and crayons earlier. But
that's the Marines, but yeah, man. I'm the chairs.
Derpination be like.
I'm the chairs.
All right. This week we're coming right back at with its week 4 recaps from the NFL and then also week 5, what to expect with our start and sits.
Austin. Well, Travis and Austin, what did we do this weekend? We want to talk about that?
What did we do this week? We saw the Steelers get their ass whooped. We saw that.
We did see that on Sunday.
We saw Matt Canada still have a job.
The last ounce of happiness leave Shane's face when you said that.
I'm so tilted, bro. Do we want to talk about that, or do we want to talk about what we were doing on Sunday?
Oh yeah, hanging out with Rob Van Dam.
Oh yeah, y'all cover that because I wasn't there.
Yeah,
that was pretty fun.
What was I doing the whole time, Travis?
Filming.
Yeah, I was
hanging out.
I was hanging out, smoking some dank joints in Amish, allegedly.
You found a churro Kit Kat, and that was the coolest thing. My entire day was made. I didn't want to let you know how happy I was. That's why I said I was only going to eat one.
Bro, okay. Tell them what happened, like, when I went missing, and you guys were, like, all freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, Shane said, I'll be right back. I'm going to walk up to the gas station, and and Ron had already done that, and he was back in, 15 minutes, and Shane was gone for, an hour. We were like, what the hell happened to Shane? And he shows up, he's like, dude, I found a food truck.
Yeah. There's a Pee-wee.
The comment in Twitch makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Well, I was walking to the gas station, and then there was a Pee-wee football game, and it was in the ghetto, so I knew that there was a food truck, and there was, 100%, bro. I knew it.
Up.
It's not fucked up.
I know.
Literally, there's bullet holes in the fucking building we were in, bro. What you mean?
You're not wrong.
Yeah, we're talking about the rough side of town. But anyways, we met Rob Van Dam. That was super fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
He's a very nice guy.
Hell yeah.
You know.
What all did you guys do when you were there?
We talked to him, and we talked to Kit Likens, who was somebody who had a big influence on Rob when he was young to start doing the wrestling and training and fighting in general when he was a teenager. Mm-hmm. And just discussed fighting, got to know them a little bit, hung out. And Rob was back in town with a bunch of wrestlers from a promotion because they had an event at Kellogg Arena. And
so he's promoting it?
Yeah, and then
okay.
He likes to give back to his community. He went and spoke at Penfield High School where he graduated, and that was pretty cool. I went to Penfield myself for most of my educational career, K through 12. But so we presented him some stuff from us, thanking him for giving back to the community and showing us to do the same thing. And we pretty much put out our reasons behind the movements, especially with the guns up, gloves down, or gloves up, guns down, that Ricky's got going on with it. It's more than just fights. We like to see the community come together. But hopefully we have some footage for you guys. It's pretty cool. There's some conversations that we heard, and it's going to be more like a short footage, like short little movie rather than like an interview is what it's going to end up being, but it's pretty cool. Then we'll get that to you guys in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and I set this out. So Rob Van Dam has own custom rolling papers, right? Should I talk about this?
I don't care.
Is this okay? Also, is this TOS?
I guess it should be
okay,
fine.
I don't care. Fuck it. And on the packaging it said Rob Van Dam's fucking rolling papers on it or some shit. And I got one of them. We got a custom one. He gave us a rolling paper. That's cool.
That's cool as hell.
Yeah, I didn't want an autograph or nothing. Yeah, exactly. I didn't want no autograph or nothing. I wasn't trying to be all up on his shit. I was the camera guy. I knew my role. I knew to stay the fuck back and just be chilling. I embarrassed a couple people. It's cool. We had fun. I did. I made a couple people look foolish.
Elaborate.
Okay, so this is off the camera shit from that interview. So when I pulled up, there was this guy there. He was wearing a Whitney Houston t-shirt. It was like skin fitting, and you could tell the dude like worked out a bit, and early 20s type guy. You know, good looking fella if I say so myself. But you know, I was like, yo, your shirt's drip, bro. I love it. I dabbed him up, and I was like, hell yeah. Later on in the day, we had that interview. Rob had Katie, who is also a prolific wrestler in the AWE, with him. Katie Burke.
That's his wife as well.
It's his wife.
Yeah.
And this dude, you could tell, was just like drooling, hard eyes, giant eyes for her, bro. And she walks by him, and she's like, hey, I love Whitney Houston. His face just goes all red. I mean, just whoosh. And he's like, thanks. And I'm like, you know, bro, like he was trying to disengage the situation so quick because he was so embarrassed. And I was like, you know, bro, I was telling him as soon as I pulled up, that shirt is so awesome. How much you like Whitney Houston? Tell him about it. And she's like, she looks at him and she's like, and starts laughing. She's like, oh, I got Whitney Houston Funko Pops. I got Whitney Houston vinyls. And he's like, that's so cool. And I'm like, goofy, embarrassed. And speaking of embarrassed, let's go ahead and fucking slide into my Pittsburgh fucking Steelers, baby. Woo!
They need some help. Ooh, soft golf clap.
Just for your Steelers, the laughing.
10-3, 2023. Matt Canada has not been fired. This is abysmal. We are talking about an offensive coordinator. Okay, so for people who aren't Steelers fans, who don't follow all the beat rights, that makes sense. There's drama that happens on every team that not everybody hears about because like not everybody reports on it because it's beat rights and whatever. Well, you know, a big reason Ben Roethlisberger retired. He probably had 1 or 2 more years. He's even said it on his footballing podcast where he's like, you know, I think I have 1 or 2 more seasons in me, but you know, it was time to move on. And you know, that's the Pittsburgh Steelers way of saying they were telling me they were either going to not re-sign me, cut me, or trade me. And if I didn't want to play for another team, it was time to retire. And that was that. That's kind of what like the Steelers' way is doing things. That's what happened with Troy Polamalu. That's how they treat their coaching staff. You got to understand the culture here before I get into the real topic. And I really want to talk about it a little bit in depth, not too far. You know, with the Steelers, it's a family organization that like respects their players, it respects their coaches, it respects all their assets, it respects everything. The Steelers organization is just completely built on respect. And because of that, you have these family connections like the Steelers may have with Mike Tomlin, Matt Canada. You know, there's coaches throughout since Chuck Noll to Mike Tomlin, including Bill Cowher, the only one that was missing, that they had bad seasons. People were calling for their heads. It happens. Why today's topic is going to be different, I'll go ahead and point out some stat lines as we go ahead and get into it. From those seasons were rebuild seasons, and the Steelers organization recognized that, and they wanted to build their team, and they trusted the process. Those coaches ended up proving their worth. Every one of them at least winning 1 Super Bowl. With that being said, today's topic is going to be Matt Canada.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, sir.
So it's really funny right now how fucking calm Shane is.
I don't want to say it.
It's so funny to me right now. But anyways, to Matt Canada real quick. I saw this stat where it talked about since Matt Canada started coaching was it last year, I believe it was. The Steelers have 300 to 400.
Let me interrupt real quick because let's rewind back to the Ben Roethlisberger thing. The big reason that he was forced to retire was because he's not the quarterback that Matt Canada wanted in his system. Kenny Pickett was. And now he's been coaching for the Steelers for 3 years. So keep that in mind. He pushed Ben Roethlisberger out, a Hall of Fame quarterback. You're not able to make your offense work with a Hall of Fame quarterback. Keep that in mind, right? You're not able to make your offense work with a Hall of Fame quarterback. Ben is first ballot. Any discussion?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He's first ballot.
You have a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback and you can't make your offense work around him, is that a red flag, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You get your rookie quarterback. You get the guy you wanted, and the offense still doesn't work. Is that a red flag, yes or no?
Wait, say that again?
You are begging for a different quarterback. You are saying this first ballot Hall of Famer is not good enough for my system. I need this guy. And you get him.
Yeah.
You get the guy.
Yes, that's a red flag.
That's a red flag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue, Austin. I wanted to go ahead and interject with that point because it was critical on what I was saying earlier.
So yeah, there was just two quick things that I found when I was like kind of researching stuff and watching from over the weekends and yesterday into today was that so since Matt Canada has become the offensive coordinator for the Steelers have not had
Don't, because I have a whole segment on this, bro. You're about to say the stat I want to say.
Well, they have not had a 400-yard passing game.
Yep.
But every other team in the NFL has had at least 5.
No.
Which
it gets worse. The stat I have for you is worse.
All right.
The stat I have for you is worse.
To go with that, the other quick thing that I found yesterday too was Matt Canada told his CBS crew after their game that the Steelers were not built to come back
behind.
from
They're not
a
built
large
to be
lead.
coming back from behind.
So they have to start fast.
No, wrong. He said,
what's wrong?
The offense is not built to come back from behind. Period.
I mean, the video said
not a large lead.
Quite built for comebacks. Whatever. Tomato. It means the same thing. He was shitting on the Steelers offense, basically, publicly.
So that stat line you threw down, that's a great stat line. Because check this out. In the last 4 seasons, every offense in the NFL has had at least one 400-yard game. 400. Just 400 from scrimmage, rushing or passing. At least 4 of them every season. In that 4-year span, would you like to guess how many the Steelers have?
0.
Zero.
If the Jets can do it with it, if the Jets can do it, shitty Zach Wilson, why can't the Steelers?
Yeah,
400 yards from scrimmage since Matt Canada has become their offensive coordinator has not been something that the Steelers can possibly achieve.
Najee actually played well this game too. I'll give him that.
Najee played well, and then they stopped feeding him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They're down by 10 points, and they stopped feeding him the fucking. They stopped feeding him the fucking ball, and it's just like, what was I talking about in this last episode? I said, we play Steelers football, we win the fucking game. We give Najee the fucking ball. Najee we trust. Then we play some fucking D, and we win the fucking game. CJ Stroud didn't get out of control until the defense was on the field for 30 fucking plus minutes already. And at that point, we should be up fucking 20 points.
Yeah,
it's not like the Texans were destroying us offensively. It was like the Texans were settling for field goals consistently and then got a couple splash plays. If the defense isn't out there that fucking often, those splash plays don't happen. Your quarterbacks look better. Your fucking linebackers look better. You know,
furthermore,
just on a basic level of football, the offense controls the tempo of the game. If you have wide receivers that are gassed up, you're running a lot of speed. You're going to go ahead and run more hurry-ups. They got energy, you're going to try to go ahead and get them on the one-on-one with the guy that might not have as much. That's just fundamental fucking football. But as your guys get tired, you let them get a breather. But the fucking cornerback has to be getting set up, and he doesn't get as much of a breather. And you know it becomes endurance at that point. And just like from the outside looking in, and then of course your pass rushers and your middle linebackers, you see your left tackles getting tired, you pat him on the back, you say, go ahead, take a breather. You know, time of possession, 1 minute of a game being favored in time of possession offers an additional 6% win ratio over 50%. That is insane. The Steelers abysmal.
And to
you
go with
cannot
your
hold on to the ball.
To go with your yardage stat. Since 2021, or the 36 games Matt Canada has coached in, the Steelers have scored 20 points or more 9 times.
Yep.
And you can't expect to win football games like that.
I would say you guys. Houston had
here's
451
the
total
cool
yards
thing.
of offense. Pittsburgh had 225. You guys only had 1 turnover. Houston 0. So I mean, you guys did commit more turnovers, but it was only 1. But 24 first downs for Houston compared to only 12 for you guys, and
0 yards played on their side of the field.
Yards per play 4 for their compared to their 6.5. Passing 111 to 312. Yards per pass, this is the huge difference. 3.6 yards per pass compared to 10.1.
And what's
passing scheme's not there. They need to open the offense up and push down the field.
And what's sad
They got
is,
the talent. They have the fucking talent, dude. Okay, check this shit out.
Here we go. Here's the not
Check
quite
this
Shane I
shit.
like to see.
Check this shit out. It's like, you got fucking Deontay Johnson. Sure, he's injured. Sure, what the fuck ever. You have Calvin Austin III, who's a fucking speedster. Take the top off the fucking defense, throw the ball down the fucking field, because they got double-team George fucking Pickens. If they don't, that's an easy fucking option every fucking play. If that player is one-on-one in coverage, you pass him the fucking ball. It doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck if it's a 20-80 fucking pass. You do it. Those are plays that I'm cool with getting burnt on. You know, there's a game that Ben Roethlisberger threw for fucking 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions was because he threw it up to Antonio Brown on those types of passes. I do not give a fuck if you throw 2 picks because you trusted a player.
Mm-hmm.
You trust your fucking playmakers. You make shit happen. That's the point of offense. If you don't understand getting your playmakers the fucking ball on a basic fundamental, that is high school coach football shit. We're talking peewee. You know what? If I'm a peewee coach and I have a fucking 5-foot running back and he's 12 years old, you know who's getting the ball 90% of those fucking snaps?
Is his name Deuce Vaughn?
Yes, sir. Pretty much. I just hand him the fucking ball and he's off to the races every fucking time. It's basic fucking fundamentals. Just basic common sense. And Matt Canada lacks that as a fucking human being. I've heard he's an amazing guy. Great person to be around. And I want to point that out. Because damn is he fucking horrible at his fucking profession. It is abysmal how bad the Steelers offense has been in these last 3 seasons. Mind you, the Steelers fan base fucking ran out their last 2 offensive coordinators, one of them being Bruce Arians. Bruce fucking Arians, the Steelers fan base has ran out. And somehow, some fucking way, Matt Canada has maintained a fucking job.
You know it's
For
bad
what
when
reason?
Stephen Smith says you should be fired.
Yeah. Everybody, Ryan Clark, who is a former player of the Steelers,
Mm-hmm.
who often gives Steelers favorable opinions and shit. He's sitting there and he's like, Matt Canada should be fired.
What Pittsburgh needs to do is the same thing the Lions did. The Lions had a similar situation, a talented roster, and they couldn't do anything on offense, and Dan Campbell said, fuck it, I'm actually in charge of play calling now. Mike Tomlin needs to do that.
Mike Tomlin has done that before, and I'm wondering, because he had an interview this week, and the question was, are changes going to be made? And Mike Tomlin responded, verbatim, hell yes, changes are going to be made. So that might be the sign that Tomlin's play calling now. The case scenario where we know Tomlin's play calling is if he runs the ball 30 times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the tight end gets a ton of touches. That's how we're going to know. Because he was a cornerback coach. He played corner. He played wide receiver. He knows the struggles, and he knows how to take a top off a defense. You know why Le'Veon Bell was so dominant on that Steelers offense? I want to go ahead and circle around on Steelers players. Why was Willie Parker so dominant? Rashard Mendenhall, who fucking cost us a Super Bowl. This offense is the worst I have ever seen it in my fucking life. I am not fucking kidding. I am 24 years old, and I have never seen a team play this fucking bad offensively in my fucking life from my team. I have never seen the Steelers play so fucking horrible in offense. And it's the thing that disgusts me the fucking most is you have so much fucking talent on that defensive side of the ball. And they're already ran ragged. You fucking burnt your fucking defense already. Go ahead and mark it up. The Steelers are going to lose every fucking game for the rest of the season at this fucking rate. It's fucking disgusting. It's abysmal. I'm tired of watching the Steelers fucking team put up with Matt Canada's bullshit and be a prisoner because they want to be golf buddies. I do not give a fuck. This man is ruining your fucking organization. It's ruining the respect of the fucking team. It is abysmal. It is disgusting. The Lions. 0-16 Lions. The 0-16 Browns. Both had 400-plus yard games.
As a Lions fan that watched that entire 0-16 season, we were in a lot of games. There's probably 5 or 6 games that we honestly probably should have won.
Yeah, the only reason was because of Matt Stafford.
3 seasons. Those are looked at as some of the worst teams of all time. The Steelers' offense hasn't been able to produce that in 3 seasons. 3 fucking seasons.
Typically, you see a coaching change a lot sooner.
I was saying, okay, so the previous
like the Jets made a change after 1 fucking season.
All right, so from 2016 till now, let's go with the Steelers rank in the league in passing offense. So in 2016, the Steelers attempted the 9th most passes in the league. They're 5th in yards, 4th in touchdowns, 18th in interceptions. And then 2017, 5th in attempts, 6th in yards, 3rd in nope, it was 6th in attempts, 3rd in yards, 4th in touchdowns. And then 2019 is an outlier. They're ranked, where are they? Attempts 26th, and then 31 in yards, 28 in touchdowns. Then 2020 went right back to 1st in attempts. 2021 was 4th in attempts. But the last 2 seasons, it's been 16th and 19th, while having 24th in yards, 25th in yards, 32nd in touchdowns, 18 in touchdowns. 18th. So, like, you guys aren't passing the ball enough.
Yeah, at all.
Or passing the ball efficiently in general. There needs to be a whole new offensive scheme.
See, what's sad is that it's going to fall on Kenny Pickett sooner than Matt Canada, I think. And that's kind of the way it's looking.
I don't think so. You want to know why? I just kind of think so because it's been 36 games now. I think, here's my thing. I said this at the beginning of the season last year. I don't think so. And I thought about that long and hard. I was like, is Kenny Pickett going to catch the brunt of this? Is Kenny Pickett good enough to be the quarterback for the Steelers? I thought about all that. I think, is Kenny Pickett good enough? Is up in the air, realistically. Kenny Pickett's got the grit. He's got the mean to be a Steelers quarterback, which, that's a big deal. Like, Ben Roethlisberger had some of his best games when he was playing through injury. Cordell Stewart had some of his best games when he was playing through injury. Terry Bradshaw had some of his best games when playing through injury. And Kenny Pickett has proven he can do that, especially if he ends up starting this week. He's in a very painful situation, and he's coming out.
What was the injury again? People that don't know.
It's an MCL sprain. So very painful injury, right in the front of your shin. It hurts a lot. It's not a very fun injury. And Kenny might not have a good week, and maybe he's going to start, but they're playing the Ravens. So I want my quarterback to start. No, it's a knee bruise. It was diagnosed as a knee bruise. I heard it diagnosed as an MCL sprain. Let's double check. Either way, very, very painful injury. Both are, if it's a knee bruise, that takes you out of the game. Oh, it's a bone bruise. Okay.
Bone bruise, okay.
So a bone bruise takes players out for games for 2 or 3 games sometimes. Like, realistically. A lot of players miss 2 or 3 games. So Kenny's probably going to play this week because of that if he toughs it out. It's a pain injury. So if players miss time, it's because of pain. And that's not fault of them. It feels like your leg's fucking broken. It hurts, Like, so I think Kenny Pickett has that grit. I think Kenny Pickett has that talent. I think the issue is Canada. And the thing is, this is Mike Tomlin's first quarterback.
So he is going to be practicing
because Cowher drafted Roethlisberger.
Yep.
That's true.
Won a Super Bowl with him. And, by the time Roethlisberger got to Cowher, he was already a whore for Super Bowls. He already had his sweetness taken,
this is the first thing that was like new for Tomlin that he hasn't done yet in his coaching career, and that is start with a quarterback from scratch. That was his from the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah, and Pickett's expected to practice tomorrow, so we'll find out more tomorrow. before and after practice as well.
Yep. So, like,
That's cool.
here's the thing. If I'm Tomlin, I look at Kenny Pickett and I say, there's a lot of fucking talent there. Because there is. You look at his college plays, you know, like, there's times where his pocket awareness isn't the best, and that's what caused this injury in the first place. You know, Broderick Jones caught a little bit of heat from it, but it's from people that don't understand how block protection works. You know, Broderick Jones set a 5-yard pocket for Kenny Pickett, and then Kenny Pickett rolled right out. And that's not Broderick's job to hold the contain on it anymore because it was a pass blocking down.
Right.
That's just like Kenny Pickett just rolled right into the block. He rolled too close. If you're rolling, you got to roll wider than that. And that's not Broderick's fault. Broderick played a pretty good game, and it was reflected immediately as soon as he came in how much better the running game got. So Broderick, I think, is the lock at a start. You know, thing is with Kenny is like he's got good pocket awareness on some downs, and then some downs it's like you're barely off. It's not even like it's bad. It's just like you misread the situation slightly. Like he was aware of the situation, but it's just like he fucked it up a little bit. I feel like if Kenny got tuned a little bit more, he would be a very, very good quarterback. And I think he has time.
So
like,
if you
he's on a rookie deal.
So if you had to pick something about Kenny that he, like his number one thing, what would it be to work on? And then also, and then say what you think is his best. If you had to put it on anything.
Man, this is going to sound crazy. I think it's pocket awareness and pocket awareness. It's weird.
Okay. Elaborate, please.
So, like, his accuracy is good. His, like, throw power is pretty good. Like, he's able to get some heat under the ball, especially if he gets a pocket set.
I would agree. Good, not great.
He doesn't feel when the pressure's there in time. He doesn't feel where it's coming from in time, and he doesn't step up in the pocket correctly all the time.
Yeah, but like sometimes he makes plays that like you need elite pocket awareness to do, and he does that. He does that very well. Like especially on bootlegs. Kenny Pickett is probably the best bootleg quarterback in the NFL right now, but the Steelers just refuse to run extra bootleg plays. In Pitt, that's what he tore apart every defense with, was bootleg plays, because you're setting him up, you're running the field fucking right or left. Let's say right, let's go ahead and go weak side, because that's what you're usually doing. You're running the field weak side. Then you go ahead and start swinging defenders. You have a running back or a tight end go ahead and fucking come up and block the middle linebacker, or you have a running back block the defensive end. Now Kenny only has one person to beat, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, and you don't even need a pocket. That's what Kenny's great at. Is, you know, he can move 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds rolling out of the pocket like you want to in a West Coast offense, specifically in that elite type nature. That's why Steve Young and Joe Montana were so good. And you didn't need those super elite offensive linemen. Those super elite offensive linemen in that era for those San Francisco 49ers were elite at run blocking, because that's when they needed to be elite. Yep. You have your offense built around this. You have Broderick Jones at left tackle, Dan Moore possibly at left tackle. So you got your sub right there. Both very good run blockers. On your left guard, you got Isaac Samalu, who is an elite run blocker. At center, you have Mason Cole, who is a really good run blocker. I wouldn't say elite. Nate Herbig, who is pretty much exclusively a run blocker. And at right tackle, you got Chuck Sikoafor, who is a really good, like, balanced tackle. Like, he low-key is really good, and he doesn't get enough credit on the offensive line because the rest of them fall behind on pass blocking. But with that being said, you know, like, use that rollout. Get that 3-4 seconds where you don't need that elite pocket, because then you know what happens? You set up that play action pass, and you only have 3 or 4 people rushing. Well, you kept a tight end, or you got a chip block or something. Well, holy shit! Now you got 5 seconds in the pocket, and now you made your offensive line look elite, didn't you? You know, like, I want to see specifically more bootleg plays from the Steelers, like, especially if Kenny plays.
Freakish athletes that can make crazy catches like George Pickens, broken offensive I was saying broken offensive plays like that, technically. Like, that's for situations where receivers like Pickens are gonna
Darnell
feast.
Washington,
Yeah.
Calvin Austin, Najee Harris is a beast within himself. Like, we're talking about like some like nastily built players that were just wasting their contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Were wasting their fucking time. If Matt Canada stays signed to the Steelers, I hope they sign every fucking starter off that team in a trade. I hope they trade them all off so they don't waste their fucking years. I hope TJ Watt gets traded. I hope Cam Hayward gets traded. I hope Minka Fitzpatrick gets traded. I hope every fucking starting player that's worth a damn on that team gets fucking traded. Because they're just wasting their fucking time and they might as well stock up on resources as long as Canada's there.
You know, funny enough, I saw someone talking about that the Steelers should take, it was like TJ Watt and like a couple firsts and go on and get someone else. Or trading TJ Watt and some of the star defensive players.
That's ridiculous in my opinion.
I've seen that. They're not going to. Like, I know they're not going to, but
not a bad idea.
All those
what, an
picks
offensive coordinator? You want a quarterback? Like, here's the thing. Kenny's in his second year. We've seen plenty of quarterbacks have a couple first years that aren't elite and then come on later and be really good quarterbacks, Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. Do I think Kenny Pickett's going to ever be the number one quarterback in the NFL? Probably not. He doesn't show the efficiency.
Not with this offensive coordinator.
Especially not with this offensive coordinator. Like, Kenny Pickett, honestly, he draws a lot of parallels to me to like a Phillip Rivers type, but just a little bit shorter. But like, that's a good quarterback. That's like a Hall of Fame quarterback. I could see him being that type of quarterback. He wills his team to win. The only difference is the Chargers aren't a winning organization. The Steelers are, so they'll win the playoff games.
Yeah, true. All right.
Can we talk about the other side of that game real quick? That CJ Stroud is now 4th in the league in passing yards as a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, CJ Stroud has impressed me a lot.
I said that he was going to be the best QB in this draft by a mile.
Yeah, so did I. I thought he should have been number one. Right? I thought he should have been taking over everyone.
Even as a diehard U of M fan, I'll give him his flowers. I realized how good of a QB he was when he was playing Michigan, actually. There's a couple plays that stuck out to me that were... I was like...
He's throwing ice ropes sometimes, bro.
CJ Stroud has balled out. And unfortunately, he also balled out against the Steelers. But he has some really nice plays, really nice throws. He has really good pocket awareness right now, especially for someone that's in his 4th game going into his 5th, right?
The biggest thing to CJ Stroud is you're going against the Steelers defense who, like, I think it's an outlier game when we look back at the end of the season. They got no sacks against him. That's really good on CJ Stroud. And also, he
hasn't thrown an interception in a while.
They were down 3 offensive linemen, 3 starting offensive linemen, and they didn't let him get sacked. That's a really fucking good game.
But, yeah, I mean, a lot of that also had to do with CJ Stroud's pocket awareness, because as soon as he felt the pocket collapsing, he would roll out left
That's
or
what
right.
I was mentioning.
And,
that's why I wanted to
make a play.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that facing defenses as good as Michigan did is help them feel the pocket out.
Yeah. And then Nico Collins pissed me off because he got 45 points fantasy-wise, right?
Nico Collins went off.
On your bench?
On my bench. I still pulled out the W, thankfully.
You said a week ago that he was going to be a mainstay in your lineup, and you still took him out, so that's on you.
Well, because I had to choose between him and Jalen Waddle. It was him.
What do you want for Nico Collins?
Jalen Waddle. Oh, hold on. It was him, Jalen Waddle, or Chris Olave. Like,
what do you want for Nico Collins?
Come on, Trap. Like, that was a hard decision.
Oh, well, he's going to want a lot for Nico Collins.
Okay, what do you want?
Well, considering Travis, I think it was last year, offered me like a 4th. I said no. Then he offered a 3rd. I said no. Then he offered a 2nd. I said no. And then offseason, he's been trying to get him. I was like, nah, I want to see how he does.
I was excited for CJ Stroud there.
What do you want? Tell me. Tell me what do you want. Look at my roster. Tell me what you want.
I realistically, honestly, do not know at the moment, but You keep talking about the Texans game. I'll look at your roster.
Okay. Good deal. Texans, like, they're down 3 offensive linemen. That's a really big deal. You know, Nico Collins came out, performed very well. Tank Dell came out and looked really good, actually. It was more of an eye test look than a stat look, if you want my honest opinion. But Tank Dell, dominant player, looking really good. Texans defense, as Austin was saying this past episode, you know, looked really solid. Looked very consistent with how they played last week. You know, I just liked how that Texans team's looking, and that's what I was saying in the offseason. You guys kind of looked at me weird, said, Shane, are you smoking crack? And I said, no. The thing is with that Texans team is there's a lot of talent. There's just a lot of, like, gaping holes.
Yeah. I believe you and I said they were a playoff team.
Yeah, I said that they're a playoff team or on the fringe.
Yeah, we were thinking they'd get one of the bottom seeds, but there was potential to win the division.
Yeah.
I just thought Jacksonville would be better than they are at this point. And
well, Texans already
I
own one
believe
of the
in CJ Stroud. I just didn't know what to expect out of everyone else around them on the team.
Texans own one of the tiebreakers now.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, you know, like, Texans are 2-2. It's anybody's game. Steelers are too. Like, that's why it's so aggravating that, like, Canada still has a fucking job right now. Because it's like, the Steelers are 2-2. They could come back and, like, get back in the playoffs. That's a big reason why everybody's so pissed off. You cannot go to a fucking game, win the fucking game, and then be chanting, "Fire Canada," because your offense is so fucking ass. You beat a divisional opponent, and everybody agrees that the offense is so fucking bad that they start chanting a 5-syllable chant. That's a lot of syllables. Fire Canada. Doom, 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 doom. Fire Canada. Doom, 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 doom.
Please? Yeah.
You don't have an offense that's built from behind? Don't be a fucking NFL coach.
Yeah, no kidding.
The one thing they did do good is that was the first time all season, even though CJ Stroud had 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, over 300 yards, it was the first time all season that he was held under 63% completion percentage, and he was only at 53.
Joey Porter looks like a stud. That's a highlight from the game. Joey Porter looks like a stud. Joey Porter Jr., not to be confused with his father, who also played for the Steelers as a linebacker. Mm-hmm. Joey Porter Jr., the 2nd-round pick, 32nd overall. You know, it's coming to turn out, though, that trade was fucking elite. And, you know, honestly, here's the situation I have with the Steelers. Omar Khan is doing his fucking job. Mike Tomlin isn't doing his fucking job in only one department. Matt Canada is not doing his job at all, and Terrell Austin is mediocre at his job. I think that's what pisses me off with the Steelers so much. It's the team's there. Like, if you were to play the Steelers on Madden and they had a good coaching staff, they would be like 89 overall on, like, defense and a fucking 82 overall on offense. They'd be like an 85 overall team. They'd be like one of the best teams to play on Madden. You'd be going against them online. You'd be like, oh, fuck, I'm playing the Steelers. I got to deal with TJ Watt. I got to deal with... Like, think about that shit. And, you know, like, while we're talking about animations, that Toy Story broadcast from that Jacksonville-Atlanta game was kind of fucking lit.
Yeah.
Anyways, Lions-Packers. How we feel?
We already talked about that.
Yeah, we discussed that one on the last podcast, Bucky Boo.
That's why I transitioned to Falcons-Jaguars, you see.
Oh, that's
I already kind of was a step ahead of you. You know, fucking dumbass. Don't try to cut me off.
All right, Dolphins-Bills.
No, you need to go get a crayon.
Garvis, you need to get a job.
Oh, wow. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm a stay-at-home dad and a homeschool. Hey.
All right, Falcons-Jags. Rated like poo.
I don't want to say it, but I will say it because he's not here to congratulate himself, but Ben was right. So
I don't know what he was right about, but okay.
We all said the game was going to be close and the potential for Atlanta to win was there, and he said, no, it's going to be easy claps. That's all.
No, he didn't.
Like, Atlanta kind of did put up a fight. It was a closer game than it looked like if you watched it. But, like, the final box score, Jaguars took care of business. Like you're looking at stats and stuff. Like you look how those drives went. It's like, okay, like Atlanta forced an interception. They forced a turnover on downs. They were like forcing punts. They were, doing what they need to. They had a fumble. Like Atlanta wasn't bad on this game. And I'm not just saying this because, fuck Ben, but like, they held Trevor Lawrence to 207 passing yards at TD. They held their running attack to like, between their running backs, Trevor Lawrence broke out for 42 yards, but between their two running backs, it was 65 yards. Trevor Lawrence scrambled 8 times because Atlanta's pass rush was just so good that they forced him out, but their cornerbacks weren't good enough.
I think literally Ritter's 2 interceptions was the difference in the game.
Yeah. Their defense played well. Like they held him to under a 100-yard receiver. But exactly what you said, Ritter's 2 interceptions like cost them the game. Because like literally they could have just gone back in the game with 2 2-point conversions at the end there. That they ended up having those 2 possessions back, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. One thing that I have noticed I wanted to touch on too is over the last 2 weeks, Christian Kirk has reemerged as the wide receiver 1 over Calvin Ridley there. And do we expect this trend to stay? I mean, I own Kirk in multiple leagues this year, so I'm hoping yes.
So
I don't think it's going to stay.
Here's the thing. Kirk is a great wide receiver. Ridley's a great X receiver. And I've been saying this all year long. When you break it down on a fundamental level, if you have a defense like the Falcons play that have your CB1 go ahead and stick on a guy, then you're probably not targeting him as much because you usually have a safety over the top. Christian Kirk, there's a reason he had 8 receptions and he only averaged 4 yards or some shit.
Yeah.
It's because, he was open on the underneath, getting a couple yards after the catch. He's a good enough guy to do that. Calvin Ridley, he had a flunk week. That's what that's about. He had 2 targets, and he didn't even really have a flunk week. He was still worth 12 points. A flunk week being 12 points.
Yeah, so I'm looking at their stats right now. On a per reception basis, Ridley's been better, and he has 1 more touchdown. He does have Christian Kirk's 10.7 yards per reception.
I think Kirk's a flex block at this point. Let me say that.
I was saying Calvin Ridley's been averaging 14.1 yards per reception. He has 2 touchdowns. Kirk has 1 touchdown. Calvin Ridley is only averaging 52.8 yards per game, whereas Christian Kirk's been averaging 64.3. But Kirk has 7 more targets, 35 to 28, and he has 9 more receptions, 24 to 15. That's where he's getting a lot of his production. And he's 23rd so far in the league in yardage, and Ridley's 42nd.
So do you guys think he can start both of them on a weekly basis, or do you just kind of have to pick who you think is going to have that boom game?
I think they're both starts.
Okay.
Especially on 12-player rosters. If you have 12-player, definitely both starts. 10-player, you might be starting to hesitate a little bit, but if you're uncomfortable starting one because of a defensive matchup and you're scared of how that corner is going to play, start Christian Kirk. That's what it comes down to. But
so you think he's the safer play?
Yeah,
I think Kirk's the safer play, but Ridley is the boom play. But I don't think he has much bust potential. I think they have a similar basement, which is 8 to 10 points realistically. I think Ridley's a little higher. I think it's 10 to 12. Because you throw it to Ridley, he's just gonna catch it. That's what it comes down to. That's why he's so dominant. Calvin Ridley's played on 2 teams that are mediocre at best. If Ridley was playing for a team like the Chiefs or the 49ers or the Patriots or the Packers or the Steelers or the Cow, the list goes on for about 2 more or 3 more teams. He would have been recognized as a highly regarded receiver because he didn't. That's why teams like going to teams like the Chiefs or the Steelers, whatever may have you, because their trade value is so high at the end of it. Devin Bush wouldn't have a career right now if he didn't play on the Steelers. He just wouldn't. If he played on a team like the Lions and played that poorly, he wouldn't be re-signed anywhere. But because
I
the
do think
Steelers
that his ACL injury did hurt him because he was playing like a future All-Pro before that, and he never recovered. Like not like actually at that level. He was playing like you could see that in his future.
Yeah.
And then that came to a halt after.
Yeah, you want to talk about heartbreaking fucking injuries? Ryan Shazier, who was already at the All-Pro level. Oh my god.
I think Ryan Shazier would be hands down the number one linebacker in the league if he never got hurt at the moment.
Yeah. But, like, something I do want to circle on that Atlanta Jaguars game is, like, they did hold their running attack, just including Trevor Lawrence, because he scrambled 8 times. I think he had one designed run and it didn't get, like, a ton of yards. I want to say he got 7, so it was above his average, technically, but whatever. You know, like, it was close enough. It wasn't, like, a 50-yard run. Sorry, you know? Outside on the running attack, they only allowed 3.04 yards per carry. Like, Atlanta's defense is still playing good. They held this Jaguars offense against a team of a lesser defense would have scored 40, 50 points. That's what I'm saying.
I would say the Lions have a top 6 offense, and they held us to 20 points, and then Jaguars have a very talented offense, and they held them to 23.
Yeah.
Their defense is there. Their offense, once their offense catches up, they can compete.
See, Atlanta's like kind of like the Steelers in that regard, where they got one great side of the ball, one good side of the ball. But that other side, the offensive side, is lacking, right? So, I mean, it's hard to play good defense when you're on the field so much in a game.
Yeah.
All I got to say.
I would say in our league settings right now, Calvin Ridley's wide receiver 37, and Christian Kirk is wide receiver 24. So considering the fact that Trevor Lawrence hasn't really hit his stride yet this season, and there's still like one's putting up wide receiver 2 numbers in Kirk, and then Ridley's putting up wide receiver 3 flex numbers still. Like, Trevor Lawrence ever starts getting his stuff together and hitting his stride, then they're both going to go up a bit. So, yeah, you can comfortably play them.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I'm at. Like, I think Kirk's the fantasy lock, like, for flex. But I think Ridley is the bigger, like, boomer bust guy who's going to be your wide receiver 1 or maybe sit on the bench. But he should never actually be on the bench. He should be flex. If you got to decide between one or the other, I would personally go Ridley because the upside. Like, he just catches everything thrown his way. He's the Sergeant Largent of our fucking era, bro. He catches everything.
That dude has a massive catch radius. It's insane.
It's insane. You watch film of him from Atlanta, and you know, like, he had one season with Matt Ryan, and it was not necessarily his best season, I think. Maybe 2, but they weren't his best seasons. And, like, the balls that were thrown to him were ass. Maybe he should play for the Steelers.
No, he get ruined.
Wait, imagine this. Calvin Ridley on the Dolphins.
I think that would help them out better than having 2 speedsters there. Like, you have Tyreek and Ridley there rather than Tyreek and Waddle.
But I got Waddle, so fantasy-wise, I don't want it to happen.
Waddle on slot.
I was going to say Waddle would fill a role on Jacksonville that they don't have, though. That's it. I think it would be a win-win.
No. Imagine Miami with Waddle on the slot, bro. Just straight slot 24/7. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and dive into this Dolphins-Bills game, huh?
What a game that I don't think we saw coming. We didn't think it'd be a blowout. We thought it was going to be a close game.
No, I think Ben thought a blowout from Miami. I think a couple of you guys said Miami was going to blow them out. We all thought Miami was going to win, but I said it was going to be close. But I did not.
Yeah, I said it was going to be. I said it was going to be a 10 to 14 point Miami win.
I did not see that coming though. Josh Allen.
No, the Dolphins looked horrendous.
Josh Allen looked like the best QB in the world. 21 to 25. 320 and 4 TDs.
Like that, though,
Let me say this, though. This was a rival matchup. I stand by my point that Josh Allen is not going to be a top 5 QB by the end of the season.
As of right now, he's the odds-on favorite to win the MVP, but it is only a quarter of the way through the season.
Oh, please. Fuck Josh Allen.
To be fair, Tua and Mahomes are tied for second.
Yeah, like, Dolphins had a mediocre game. To be perfect, it takes a lot. They weren't ready for it, and I knew that there was going to be a loss coming up, but I wasn't going to bet against them.
Yeah, no, they weren't going to repeat a Dan Marino type season.
What do you mean Dan Marino wasn't the quarterback for the undefeated Dolphins team?
Dan Marino type season.
What the fuck does that mean?
Good. They weren't going to be good all year.
Are you talking about the undefeated season, the 14-0 season?
I'm just talking about being good. Fuck the Dolphins.
I think that's what you were insinuating.
No,
And then
I personally do think that Josh Allen's gonna be a top 5 QB this year.
Fuck them.
And I'm not just saying that as an owner of him. Josh
And
Allen
the Jets.
100% will be a top 5 QB, and I think he just proved it. He takes some chances, but they're gonna get the groove going. And the thing that separates them this year from last year and years past is that at least 2 weeks in a row now, like their offense is more than just him and Stephon Diggs now. James Cook has been playing pretty well. Gabe Davis has been getting involved more regularly. If they can keep that going and keep the offense more than just being one-dimensional, it's going to be helpful. Now, they did have a big blow with Tre'Davious White coming back. First game back from tearing his ACL last year, and then tears his Achilles.
Yep.
He was playing good too, but that's going to hurt them moving forward. But their team's still good enough that I think they can make a deep playoff run if they can keep their offense like this. I don't not
The
saying
Dolphins?
48. No, the Bills. I'm not saying 48 points every single week, but make it so it's not just Allen the Diggs, Cooks and Davis keep producing. It'll be nice.
Yeah. I just don't see it. They've had great teams the past 2 years, and they get scared of the coin toss and lose the game.
You know what? Here, I'll change my opinion based on 2 games, and they're in 3 weeks. If the Bills manage to win these next 2 games I'm about to mention by 20 points in total, then I'll change my opinion. I'll say Josh Allen is an elite quarterback.
Oh my God.
These were the 2 games I was stressing about it. I'm building tension, bro. I'm teasing your taint with a little fucking feather. Shut the fuck up, you little fucking cunt. Okay?
I'm just listening. You keep talking. I'm like, oh my God, is he going to say the fucking teams yet?
Jaguars, Patriots.
Okay, that's fair.
I think Patriots had a fluke this week. We'll end up getting into it. But
yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit.
Like I just said, with Tre'Davious White being out, and I think Trevor Lawrence and the offense being able to play good, I think that game could be close. Jacksonville and the Bills. I still think the Bills will win, but
we'll see. Next episode, we're doing predictions today, right?
For week 5, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So later on. Last week it was next episode. I was like, oh, next episode, tune in. No, this one. Later on. Keep watching.
Right now.
Right now.
All right, so the next game I want to talk about is the team of the game of the winless, Vikings and Panthers. Vikings got the win 21-13.
Panthers had a chance, man.
Any big thoughts?
Cousins had his worst game of the season. That Panthers defense is pretty decent.
Yeah. Alexander Madison had his best game of the season.
Yeah.
With 95 yards. I mean, what's crazy is even though Kirk Cousins only threw 139 yards, Justin Jefferson still had 85 yards in both touchdowns.
Yep.
Well, he's Justin Jefferson.
Still wild. On a horrendous night passing for the quarterback, Justin Jefferson still had hella points.
Hey, and the number 1 receiver for Carolina was his former teammate in Thielen, 7 receptions for 78 yards.
Bryce Young had a decent game. Good game, dare I say. Not great, but he had pretty good. 25 of 32, 204 yards. No touchdowns and no interceptions.
Completion percentage-wise and yards-wise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Thielen on 8 targets at 7 callbacks and 76 yards. So,
yep.
That's pretty solid. Fantasy-wise, that's 14 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's a decent wide receiver to start.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll take that all
Bryce
day.
Young played his best game of the season.
Lineup?
He had his career high in yards with 204. His previous was 153, and his best 78.1% completion percentage, no turnovers. So that's pretty
And
good.
then Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders both basically split carries, pretty dead even.
Yep,
Chuba Hubbard had double the yards.
The handle of my
Almost.
water broke.
That's why I have both of them. They're a team they're running backs that if there's a couple teams like Washington as well. If you own one, you're probably gonna want to own the other. Otherwise they're not worth having.
Yeah.
Sanders,
Yeah.
and Hubbard.
I
Gibson
still
and
remember you
Robinson.
calling Miles Sanders a top 5 running back before the season.
I said top 10.
Top 10, whatever. He's not looking like it right now, though.
No, he is not.
So Travis,
Yes,
I hate
sir.
to circle it back, but I really
Oh,
fucking
God.
hate Matt Canada. Is Najee and Jalen Warren one of those running back duos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my Jesus,
Yeah.
this man.
Well, how do you feel about me offering a trade for someone? Adam Thielen for Jalen Warren.
I mean, pure value. Like if the person who had Warren was a contender, I wouldn't mind that. But young running backs wise, I don't know if that'd be smart. I know who owns them, so that's why.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep confidentiality because it's personal league.
I don't know if because of Warren's youth, I don't think it's smart of him to do that.
I think it's tempting though.
Yeah.
And speaking of tempting, I was so tempted to just bid on a tie on this game last week.
It was almost that way.
It was almost that way.
Yeah, we both set a tie, and it was so close.
Yeah,
I thought the
was
Bears were
close,
going to
man.
win by 7, but yeah.
Let's
It
go
was
ahead and talk
close.
about this. 31-28, Broncos go ahead and get their first dub of the season. You want to talk about a fucking toilet bowl game? Here we
Justin
go.
Fields
baby.
and Russell Wilson both looked good for the first time in a year and a half. That was good.
Yeah, against elite defenses.
Right. Oh, this was a defensive masterclass here, if you like
Yeah.
flag football.
I mean, both offenses look good for
Yeah.
damn sure. I saw this. Bring this up real quick. Kind of deviate slightly to college. That the Bears head coach and Justin Fields should basically be off the team, and that they should bring Caleb Williams and
Lincoln
what is
Riley.
that USC's head coach again?
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley to Chicago, so they can pair them together. Because Caleb Williams was with him at Oklahoma and then followed them to USC, right? So their kind of train of thought is how good is Caleb Williams going to be without Lincoln Riley, which is a fair statement. A lot of people are kind of fed up with Justin Fields, and I get that, but I think the bigger problem at hand is what has been notorious for the past at least 10 years is the Bears coaching staff has just been horrendous. It's just been a carousel of coaches. Not quite as bad as some teams like the Browns, but it has been awful.
I mean, look
I
at
can
it
see
even when
Justin
they make
Fields
the
going
playoffs, man.
to Atlanta. I think that's what like if the Bears' plan is to 100% get Caleb Williams, Justin Fields is going to Atlanta. I'm calling it, especially if Ritter doesn't get his shit together.
That's true.
And I think
That's
Fields
true.
would flourish in an offense like that.
What'd you give up
I
for
mean,
him?
A second round pick.
I don't think that's in the realm of possibilities at the moment. Just based off of the Bears organization as a whole, especially at their GM level and up. They're a bunch of kind of dipshits.
What do you mean, kind of?
So, they're pretty much dipshits. So, but what I'm really hoping is that Justin Fields' 335 yards and 4 touchdowns is a sign of good things to come. Or was it just the Broncos defense that fucking bad? I'd like to
Broncos
believe
defense is that bad.
No, I would like to believe Justin Fields is just going to be that good. Personally,
One thing I do like to see, I mean, again, could be because the Broncos defense is that bad, but DJ Moore, 8 receptions, 131 yards, and a touchdown. He's been startable pretty much every single week this season. He's actually been pretty consistent no matter how bad the offense has been for the Bears. He's been the one consistent player week to week.
Cole Kmet had himself a hell of a game.
I would say week 1 was the only game that he wasn't playable. He did not play good. He had 2 targets, 2 receptions for 25 yards, no touchdowns. So that was nothing. But
that's weeks you're gonna have with a starting tight end. You know, like even Travis Kelce has some weeks.
I mean, it was just DJ Moore out of tight end. But
no, I was talking about Cole Kmet.
Oh yeah, Cole Kmet. I was talking about DJ Moore, but then DJ Moore.
Well, we thought you were
talking.
I don't know. Whatever.
I said DJ Moore.
We changed the subject.
But we started talking about Cole Kmet, and then you went off on that stat, so we assumed you were talking about Cole Kmet.
I never even heard you guys say Cole Kmet.
We said it multiple times.
I said Cole Kmet, and then Austin was like, Cole Kmet has been having a hell of a fucking game.
You guys, one second.
We both said Cole Kmet.
You guys have been like talking over me, like you guys don't even hear me talking a lot this episode. I'm not gonna lie.
I can not really. I'm sorry.
No, not like. No, it's like you guys literally aren't hearing me. That's like what I mean. Because like I was talking before you guys ever said DJ anything about Cole Kmet. Like I was already like 15, 20 seconds into that.
Earlier, well, because you paused.
Sporting lunch drama.
And you didn't say anything for like 5 seconds. So
maybe he was thinking too hard.
No, it's because I'm looking at the stats. Like I was literally.
But when someone pauses for like 5 seconds, I assume they're done talking.
I didn't pause for like 5 seconds.
Something.
I said and then you guys said.
You paused for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the next game of stats.
Well, then just say something else instead of.
I was literally going on a game-to-game basis.
But earlier, I definitely talked over you because I was trying to say something. Then you kept talking, so I just kept saying something.
No, I was talking about his stats game week to week.
Drama. Austin actually hates Travis on the front of People magazine, bro.
I what?
I was talking about DJ Moore's stats week to week and was talking about DJ Moore, and you guys just like ignored it.
We were talking about it, and then you stopped.
Because I didn't stop. I was literally
you stopped, and then we said something about Cole Kmet.
You stopped long enough for me to. Okay, check this out, Travis. You might not have noticed this, but you stopped long enough for me to say Cole Kmet. Austin to cut me off and say Cole Kmet has been having a good season.
I was talking that whole time. I heard when you guys said it. I was still talking.
You were not talking. You were talking in
you
your
were
head
not.
Then.
Yeah.
No, I was.
We can watch the replay, bro. I got the VOD.
Do it. Because I guarantee you'll see my mouth moving that whole time.
Well, then you weren't saying words, my guy.
Yes, I was.
No, you weren't. Anyways, back to your stats.
I was talking about DJ Moore because he had a bad game against Green Bay. 2 receptions, 2 targets for 25 yards. And then I went to go talk about Tampa Bay, the second game, and like as soon as I said Tampa Bay, you guys started saying Cole Kmet.
All right, well, we're not talking about that right now. We're not about to have a little hisk.
And then against Tampa Bay, he had 6 receptions on 7 targets, 104 yards, 0 touchdowns. Kansas City, 3 receptions on 6 targets for 41 yards, but he got the touchdown, so that made his fantasy day. And then against Denver, 9 targets, 8 receptions for 131 yards and a touchdown. So he's been pretty damn good from a fantasy standpoint. He is for sure start for the rest of the season, regardless of the Bears offense in general, because even through the bad, he's still been relevant.
I just don't believe in him long term, personally, or that Bears offense as a whole long term. It's not something. It's something I would watch and probably have him on a bench, but it's not something I'm gonna put into my starting lineup.
That's fair,
personally. Or even
I debated on putting him in last week, and he's currently 14th in the NFL in receiving yards.
That's fine and dandy. Good for him. I want him to see him do well. I want to see that Bears team do well. It's just not something I want to really risk.
Why you got the list pulled up? Who's 15th?
One second. DJ Moore's also 51st in targets, so that's what's going to hurt him. Did you say who's 15th? Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Circling back to that last game.
Calm down.
Ooh.
Calm down, Tiger.
Adam Thielen getting the target.
As bad as this person is, like, as bad as we've been thinking this person's been, he's tied with Devontae Smith for 16th. Jamar Chase is.
Jamar Chase? What the fuck? That's wild. Well, How
Anyways,
about the AFC North? They have a matchup.
back to the
the
Ravens and the
AFC North.
Browns. And the
Meeting the
quarterback that
Browns in
Travis
Cleveland.
loves that thought would do well, Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
He did
3
not do
interceptions.
well.
Yeah, I
He-
know.
he-
You thought he would.
He had a
was a
really good
little-
preseason, but he did
It's
bad.
a little like I thought. I was kind of excited. Lamar Jackson had a decent game. He was efficient.
Who?
Lamar
Lamar.
Jackson.
Yeah, no big bulk stats, but efficient and got some
No,
tutties.
yeah. Nothing crazy, but he was efficient.
I was like-
15, 19,
I was like, you
186.
sure about that? And then I seen the
And 2
Ds,
tutties.
and I was like, oh shit, you're right.
And
Down
thankfully,
the
those 2
ground. My
touchdowns went
bad.
to the one and only Mark Andrews.
His favorite target.
So I was pretty happy about that. Zay Flowers had a decent game, 3 for 56.
He just
That's
needs
really
more
only-
target share.
That's really the only notable person besides Mark Andrews from that game, at least from the Ravens side of the ball. Gus Edwards
Pierce
had 15 for 48. So nothing
It's
crazy.
Pierce
interesting
Strong looked good.
As I say, it's interesting that Pierce Strong
Yeah.
seems to like
He did.
Kareem Hunt's still not getting touches. Does he have anything left in the tank?
I think they're just trying to work him back slowly, probably.
He's a grinder. He's the type of running
What I
back
have to
where
say.
like he would grind down defenses, so then Nick Chubb could go ahead and get those burst plays, and he was averaging 5.0 yards per carry. You know, Kareem Hunt was the fucker that they put in the first half and go ahead and get that shit running down. They threw Nick Chubb on a couple plays when they needed to put a threat on the field. But a lot of times, like, if you look at first half Browns versus second half Browns, it was like, in these past few seasons, it was like Kareem Hunt was on the field playing for, like, I want to say it was like 72% of the time. And then the second half, it was Nick Chubb playing like 63% of the time. So, like, that's a significant amount of, like, cuttage that Kareem Hunt was getting because he's a good blocker. You know, he's getting snaps. He's a good blocker. He's a good catch running back. You know, he's a good running back where you need to go ahead and get 1 yard or 2. He's just a really good running back in a couple of those things.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think as the weeks go on and the seasons go on, we're going to see Kareem Hunt take more of a 1A type role in that offense. See him become
agree.
more the one, get more work in the passing and the run game. But I think they're just going to work him back in slowly. I mean, I think he's their best running back and their best weapon in that backfield. We've seen it year over year. He
Jerome
can
Ford is
produce.
really
and
good, though.
He is good, but I think he's going to be like the 1B. The Kareem Hunt.
I'm not sure about that.
That's
I
just
think
my prediction. You can disagree. That's fine.
I know. I think unless Jerome Ford gets hurt, just starts playing really bad.
2.89 yards per carry.
I mean,
Kareem
Yeah,
only
I'm-
had 2.4, but
Yeah.
like he didn't get a lot of touches. Jerome Ford
I know.
almost had double at 9 versus 5, respectively.
they were able to stack the box though because they knew that they weren't going to pass. They weren't. Because Dorian threw 3 interceptions,
Yeah.
no touchdowns. He was pretty bad. I had high hopes for him. I had him on my taxi squad. But it's one bad game. I'll still hold on to him. He'll get more
Or you can
attempts.
trade him to me.
No.
Why
do
not?
you want him after he was bad? Why would you want him unless you liked him too? Then give me Aiden O'Connell.
You know, I'll take him off your hands because I have an injured
Mm.
QB squad. Like, my shit's looking rough. Live trade alert? Live trade alert?
Hey, listen, my shit's looking rough too.
No, my shit's looking rougher. Travis,
Okay.
how would you feel about
That's fair.
live trade alert? I always have fun doing these with you guys when Ben's trying to do this shit live and Travis trying to do this shit live. My turn. It's my turn. I'm trying to get my team back on the rails. I'm a fucking 1-3 mess. How would you feel about Gibson for Thompson Robinson?
Did you really give me Gibson for that?
Yeah, bro. I'm a little tipsy. I realized that was a bad trade after I said it. I was like, no, that ain't
I was
that
like,
great.
I literally
like,
clicked
shit.
on Gibson and was like, has he really been that bad this season? I went to go look at his stats. I was like, what?
Gibson's been bad
All
this
right.
year, bro.
On to the next games. Well, actually, we already talked about the Steelers and Texans.
Go ahead.
Rams and Colts. This is the
That
next
game
game
kind
on
of
the
surprised
docket.
me. The Rams have been
Pretty
better
good.
than yeah.
Puka. Still gonna be Puka once Cooper Kupp comes back, Travis.
Yep.
Firm believer. Still gonna be
8
Puka.
targets at least.
Still gonna
They
be
running
Puka.
true West Coast out there, dude.
Well, over 2-2 is what you're saying?
Yeah. Still gonna be Puka over Tutu, I think.
All right, we'll see.
Because he's the clear number one in that offense right now. He's gonna be bumped down to the number 2 once Cooper Kupp comes back.
Well, like Higbee's a decent tight end, and Kyron Williams seems to be the answer they've been waiting for at running back. And Stafford's playing well again. That could be like now that Stafford has a rapport with other receivers besides Kupp that he can trust and can produce.
Mm-hmm.
They keep overachieving on defense because their pass defense has been stingy for no reason. And this offense could be elite again when Kupp comes back. Like, I think Puka and Kupp will eat into each other's targets enough that like they'll knock each other out of potential top 5 finishing, obviously. But I still think both of them could probably finish. Puka top 12, Kupp top 24 because of his games missed. I don't think it's gonna be hard to catch up for that many games.
Yeah,
missed.
he's gonna have to have some insane same games.
Top 35 actually. There's been a lot of big games. I forgot how many games he's actually missed, but
yeah,
and I still think Tutu will have weeks where he's gonna put up some stats. It's gonna be a fun offense, and I don't even think the Colts necessarily played bad either.
No, not bad, but not great on the offensive side of the ball. Like Anthony Richardson, 11 for 25, 200 yards, 2 TDs. Pretty good fantasy stat line for you.
That's solid.
Right?
He had 3 TDs total and 56 yards on the ground.
They had a rushing. Yeah, so a good fantasy game. Very good fantasy game.
Like
Stafford was good again, 1 interception.
This Colts offensive line is questionable at this point. I think Zach Moss falling down to 18 carries, 70 yards total, 3.9 on a touch. Like that's kind of questionable. Their pass blocking is the biggest thing that I'm concerned about. Like you seem to like Anthony Richardson. Like when you watch in that all 22, it's like one of those situations where it's like it felt like he had to scramble a lot more than he had to. Like you want to give your quarterback 3 seconds, you know what I mean? And like against the Rams, it was just like he wasn't getting that 3-second span. And that forced him to go ahead and get that 56 and a TD. But like when we talk about like a GM perspective, like 2-2 Colts, like that offense has too much talent. If Zach Moss is playing to that potential, where he's almost averaging 4 yards per carry, like you got Michael Pittman, who's a fucking stud. Like you need to figure out how to get into these like offensive play callers' hands. Like this is ugly. Like this is a game that the Colts show won with better coaching.
I was gonna say, look at you go first.
I was just gonna kind of touch on Jonathan Taylor because he's supposed to be coming off the PUP list and actually practice on Wednesday. And according to the head coach for the Colts, Taylor's actually excited about returning and playing again. So I wonder how that's going to actually play out. Is Taylor actually going to play? Is he going to kind of hold out? Or because we haven't really heard from Jonathan Taylor about it, so we'll have to find out tomorrow. How that practice actually goes and what actually happens with him. So and how that goes. But having Taylor back is going to add a whole different dynamic to that Colts offense that they have been desperately missing. I think we're going to see a new Colts offense going forward as long as Jonathan Taylor plays. What are you going to say, Travis?
What I was going to say is I think, like what Shane said, better coaching could have won this game because I'm looking at all their stats, and 1 turnovers apiece, 467 total yards for the Rams,
It's
329
an
for the
overtime
Colts.
loss.
And it's an overtime loss. Like, they total plays 78 to 58, but total drives 12, 11, yards per play virtually identical, 6 to 5.7. Yards per pass attempt 7.2 to 7.3 actually in favor of the Colts. Rushing yards per rush 4.6 for the Rams, 4.3 for Indy. What won the game for the Rams was time of possession. 39 minutes 46 seconds to 24 minutes 25 seconds.
What was I talking about earlier?
Time
of possession.
Not just that.
The passing
even
first downs.
But even that bigger than the first downs, bigger than the time of possession, is that Matt Stafford didn't come out the game after his injury.
Yeah.
He played through it. And I think if he comes out and they put in their backup quarterback, it might be a little bit of a different story. I'm thinking, at least.
Talking about backup quarterbacks.
What?
What about the Saints going through everything in a half, that at the second half of that game. They got
that was
Jameis
a depressing
Winston.
game, man.
Yeah.
Chris Olave made me sad. I thought I was going to lose because of Chris Olave wasn't getting anything. He didn't get his first target till like the second half, bro.
He had 6 total, though.
Yeah, 6 total, but I was sweating bullets for all 6 of those.
He only got one.
So are the Bucs this good, or are they just overachieving right now? Is Baker just
overachieving? Fuck Baker.
Bucs aren't real.
Fuck Baker.
I think I sent you a trade, Shane. You're gonna probably say ew, and I'm willing to give you significantly more than that. I just wanted to send that.
Alvin Kamara did in his game back 11.51. Not too bad. 4.5, 4.7 yards per carry actually. So he didn't do horrible.
No, he didn't. From a fantasy, he got over 20 fantasy points. All those targets. What was it? 13 targets.
13 fucking targets.
Yeah, if he's
so because of that alone, he had a damn good fantasy game. Oh my god!
What else you wanted to give me?
I have that second round pick to make it worth it for you.
What if I trade in the second round for fucking
what's the
who
trade?
Was you offered me? Marquise Brown.
What's the trade for?
Zach Wilson and what else?
I think Khalif Raymond.
Yeah, Khalif Raymond.
You said you needed a QB.
So do I.
Yeah.
Apparently.
What else do you want to offer on top of Zach Wilson?
I would do the second round pick, and that's probably. Let me see the rest of my team real quick. Actually,
if you give me Khalif Raymond and Zach Wilson, I'll take it.
I'll give you both of them. I thought I already had that in there.
You didn't offer me the second. I'm willing to trade in Khalif Raymond for the second that you just offered me for another asset. I want something else on top of Zach Wilson.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
We had one boom game. This is his third best game of his career.
So you're saying you want me to keep the second, is what you're saying?
I'm willing to trade. Look at it like this. You already essentially told me that you're willing to trade me Christian Kirk and Zach Wilson. How's that sound?
I value Christian Kirk more than Khalif Raymond in a second.
Okay, where are you at then? DJ Moore?
I value him way more than that too right now.
Okay, then what you value him?
You know what's funny is Travis likes to make fun of people for the way they value people, and then he has some weird values himself. Just throw that out there.
Me asking for DJ Moore instead of Raymond in a second is reasonable, right?
I value Moore and Kirk individually both more than Marquise Brown. Not by a lot, but slightly. They're all in the same tier for me, but I think they're at the higher end of the tier. Just because, I guess I can't really say DJ Moore's offense isn't any better than Marquise Brown's, but Kirk's is.
Kirk's is, yeah. I would agree with that.
Okay. Tell me what you want to offer then. Zach Wilson and what for Marquise Brown?
All right. What is your opinion on Khalif Raymond? Because I can take him out of the trade completely if you want that.
0.
Okay.
I have zero value on him.
Okay. How about this? Because this is honestly probably...
what is it? Tell me. Tell me live on the pod. We're doing a live trade.
All right.
You're really into this live trade
Why won't it
scenario
let
right now.
me? Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, because it's real. You know, like
All right. So
what
Dallas
sets us
Goddard.
apart? We actually talk about trade values.
Dallas Goddard and a second-round pick.
Zach Wilson needs to be included, bro.
No, he is. It's Zach Wilson, Dallas Goddard, and the second.
Wait, double check my roster.
What are you trying to get?
Just Hollywood. Just Marquise.
That's
Nothing
not
else.
Hollywood, you dumb fuck.
Yes, it is.
Okay, anyways.
Hey, you dumb. Dumb. Give me gum. Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyways, real quick, while he's thinking about Travis, what are your reactions from
I
the
accepted
Bucs
it.
fans?
I accepted it. I think
Okay.
Zach Wilson has an upturn, and I was just trying to scam the fucker.
But what do you think? Are we, what, Bucks and Saints still? Is what you're saying?
Yes, what are your reactions from it? I think Derek Carr played horribly. If he played better, they win this game because you can't pass 37 times and only get 127 yards.
I'm still.
That's absurd.
I think the Bucks defense is a little better than people want to give it credit for at the moment. It's not elite, but it's still not bad. I think it's still good, like top 10 to 15 area. And
yeah,
Carr got hurt last week, so I know he played, but whether he says it or not, you could probably assume he wasn't 100%. And Kamara getting that kind of target share first game back has not been the way this offense has been ran this season so far. So I think that heavily influenced it. They were playing offensively in a way they have not played all season, and it showed on the scoreboard with 9 points. And they need, I mean, I'm okay with Kamara being involved in the offense if he's going to be efficient with his touches, but they got to recognize that right now that not pressing the ball down the field is not going to help them. They need to utilize Olave. They need to utilize Thomas. Juwan Johnson being out kind of hurts over the middle. Him coming back will definitely help their long-term projection. But Rachaad White with another decent game, nothing crazy good.
Yeah, because when you have
yards.
your
Go ahead. Sorry, I'd moved on to Rachaad White, but you still want to talk? I want to hear it.
I was going to just basically say, is like when you have your running back getting 14 targets, is that a very good or very bad? And in this case, it was very bad because that offense looked horrendous. And when you get 13 catches for 33 yards, that's even worse. That just shows how abysmal this Saints offense was. And the Bucks defense played good, but not great, right? I think they had a lot of lapses in coverage. And God, I so much want to believe in this Saints team. But it's so hard.
They're losing me every week, and the Bucks are growing on me because Baker's playing out of his mind.
You want to know what team I want to believe in?
The Steelers.
The Washington Commanders, bro.
Yeah. They almost did it. They almost did it.
I called it. You know, that Commanders defense is good. They're legit. You know, the question is Sam Howell.
They played a hell of a game.
They put up a fucking fight against Philly in overtime. And they took Philly to overtime, man. Like, if Sam Howell plays mediocre at best, they can win a Super Bowl with this roster. Mark my fucking words. Are they going to? No. But they could.
They can.
If Sam Howell,
they can.
This is a Super Bowl roster team if they just want to go ahead and step up and have Sam Howell be decent. That's what they need. If Sam Howell's not throwing 2 or 3 picks a game, this is a scary team, man.
That offense played really, really well, and I was very impressed with the way they played, right? Because they came back several times in the fourth quarter to tie it up, and it's overtime, and that defense held up in the fourth quarter when the Eagles were trying to make a drive to win the game. It was a weird game because there's moments where I was like, damn, Sam Howell looked fucking amazing. And then there's some plays where I was like, what are you doing, guy?
Yeah.
What was going through your fucking mind on that play?
Yeah.
But then he had 6 for 40 and he had 290 yards and a tutty. Like, he didn't
bounced
play
back
bad.
against he this is one of the better defenses in the league too. And he didn't play great, but like a lot of QBs, no matter aren't going to play
Almost
great
300
against the
yards.
Eagles.
But here's the thing. Like, is 300 yards a great game? Yes or no?
Yeah, depending on. I mean, if it's 50 attempts and you're below,
I would say
he's at
55%.
41 attempts, and he's at like 73% rate. I'm looking at 29 over 41. Let me double check that stat.
Yeah, it was. But for me to answer
70.7, yeah.
So to answer your question, though, Shane.
Boom, big brain.
To answer your question, 300 yards is a good game for me, but for me to call it great, it has to be like 400.
This was a huge game. This was a huge test for Sam Howell for me because he started off the season with 2 cupcakes, Arizona and Denver, played really well, and then everyone had some questions about him, whether because he obviously played Arizona and Denver, and then he plays Buffalo, has a nightmare game, 19 of 29, still completed 65% of his passes, but he had 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and then he gets another great defense right back against Philly, and he bounced back. He bounced back.
I think it's just those growing pains
that was
you
huge.
see with. I think
he answered the bell.
I think it's just those growing pains you see with essentially a rookie quarterback because this is his first year starting, right? Even though it's not his rookie year, right? But it's just those growing pains you see with the first year starter, I think. And he's going to have more bad games, but he's also going to have more good games. But I think we're going to see him progress a little bit throughout the year, week in, week out. And I think by year's end, he's going to be better than Jordan Love. I'll keep
yes. I think Jordan Love is a better fantasy, just like last year with Justin Fields. He's a better fantasy asset than he is real life QB. And because his fantasy production can be inflated by garbage time touchdowns, even though the rest of the game you've completed barely 50% of your passes and have 3 turnovers.
Like we saw against the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right? We saw that garbage time touchdown, which inflated his fantasy value just enough to make you feel a little bit better, make you feel a little bit more okay if you started him.
Having your your best offensive lineman out does affect how well an offense can run in general. But at the end of the day, every quarterback, good or bad, has to play games, probably a significant amount of games over the course of a career. If you say you play 12 to 15 years on average as a QB, you've probably spent 2 to 3 full seasons of your career missing substantial offensive linemen in your career. You have the good, the great ones make it work no matter what happens. So I don't like using that as like an excuse, especially if it's over the course of more than one season. And that's why I don't know.
Emmitt Smith, he's the rushing yard leader, and the biggest knock on him is, well, anybody could have ran behind the offensive line.
Yep.
Talking about train fires, though, I really do want to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals against the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Second
so sad.
Half, no touchdowns by either team.
It made me so sad.
I called that game. I said Tennessee was going to bounce them. I was the only one that said it, I think.
Yep.
No one cares, Travis. Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow was accurate but not good. I mean, he didn't get a lot of deep passes. He had a lot of dump offs to the running back.
That's how you know
a lot of short yardage quarterback, a lot of short yardage passes. The running game wasn't even that good, but it was pretty. It was all right.
But that's how you know he's not fully healed yet. That's why he's not taking the deep shots. He doesn't have the power in his leg to fully plant and put the power into his passes that's required because of his calf right now. That's why they're doing the dink and dunk when you have guys like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to stretch the field. And that's the way they obviously want and normally will run the playbook because they've done it for the past couple years. But that's a big tell that his calf is not healed.
I could agree with that mildly. But then, I mean, Joe Mixon had a pretty decent game, 14 for 67. So if you started him, you're happy with that, right? It's not something to write home about, but
he might not. Mixon hasn't had any boom games, but he hasn't had any bust games. He's been honestly had one of the safest floors in all of fantasy this year because running back's been wild.
What about Derrick Henry?
He's
feeling safe keeping it at RB1?
Yeah, especially with the way the season's going with running backs right now, he's one of the safer bets.
He
He
is.
threw for
And
a
he can apparently
touchdown.
throw tutties. Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was an extra bonus. I mean, I don't necessarily expect that again, but the
No.
running, the
Won't happen.
rushing, I was happy to see it. 22 carries, 122 yards, and a touchdown. That's what we've been waiting for all season. And
Throw on an extra 6 points on top of it, by the way, because he passed for one. Remember,
DeAndre Hopkins had a decent game.
Ryan Tannehill
he caught one for
played
11.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Tannehill played all right. He had 240 yards, a touchdown, and then 2 turnovers.
Do you feel comfortable starting Ryan Tannehill as QB2?
Matchup dependent.
I want to say no.
I want to say no, but he has games where he, like, if even with that stat line, that's not a crazy number of yards, not a crazy number
That's
of touchdowns.
24 points.
He has
That's 24.
just cuts out the turnovers. Yeah, a game like that with no turnovers is solid.
24 points.
Not horrible. Let's see what he did.
You know, would you feel comfortable starting Derrick Henry as a QB2 in your league?
Yeah, 10 points in our league because of those 2 turnovers. Having that interception and that fumble loss knocked him down a little bit. But who on the Titans receiving though are you guys feeling confident starting any of them really weekly, or is it just really purely matchup dependent, or who do you think's gonna have that boom game?
I think it's matchup dependent personally.
Yeah,
I would say so too.
I still think it is, but it's starting to go a little towards. We're getting closer to Westbrook Hines and D-Hop being flexible, but they're not quite there. The last 2 weeks they've looked better, but the offense in general has looked better the last 2 weeks. But not quite there yet. We'll see.
Yeah. Let's see. Like Westbrook had like 10 points. D-Hop had just over 10 as well. So I mean, it's not bad. Kind of starting lineup worthy-ish, borderline. I mean, I'd take that 10 points over Chris Olave's 1 point. I'm so salty about that, dude. Oh my god, almost cost me to lose.
Almost
Yeah.
Only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And that brings me to my next topic.
Shut the fuck up.
Raiders visit the Chargers. Raiders lose by a touchdown. What are we thinking here, boys?
I kind of thought it was going to happen, but I was mildly happy what I saw from Aiden O'Connell in his first start.
I think Justin Herbert's hand getting hurt had a big effect on the overall outcome of the game. I mean, they still won, but I think it would have been by a slightly larger margin if that didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, they passed for 39 times with O'Connell, which I was kind of surprised about. I didn't think they passed that much. I thought they were going to definitely lean more on Josh Jacobs.
The game was close enough they could have. The game was close enough they could have.
Yeah. Because they
30
ran
touches
17
to Josh
times.
Jacobs, and you win that game, bro.
Because they ran it 7 times. I thought they were going to run it like
I was gonna say, yeah,
25.
they were down by 14 until the 9 to 10 minute mark, and no, actually it was the 11-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Then they made it a 1-possession game, 24-17 the final score. They had the whole fourth quarter to run it.
But Josh Jacobs had 25 total touches. They also had 8 receptions for 81 yards. So like, if you started him or put him in your starting lineup or whatever, you're pretty damn happy because he also got a touchdown.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a game right
that
there.
Everyone's been expecting from him. This is he needed that. He definitely needed that after getting another year under his belt, getting from the Raiders, and then also he's got to follow up that RB3 finish from last year. You can't have a dud like that. You got to finish top 10 at least.
And then Devontae Adams had a solid game. 13 targets, 8 catches, 75 yards. I believe Devontae Adams went out in the fourth quarter. Got injured in the fourth quarter, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure that's what happened.
I think he did. He did get hurt. I think it was a shoulder. If I'm not mistaken.
It might have been.
I'm checking right now. Continue talking.
But yeah, no, I was I was mildly
It's a
surprised
shame.
at how well Aiden O'Connell did.
No, I think he did do all right, especially in a game that what? Oh man, Khalil
Mattered.
Mack's. Yeah. Did anyone talk about what Khalil Mack did?
Dominated.
What do you do?
He had 6 sacks. That's like second all time in a
Shit.
game.
Yeah.
I think Derek Brooks or Derek Thomas had 7. That's who. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like the big thing that hurt him too, that kind of caused the Raiders to lose the game, is Aiden O'Connell having 3 fumbles.
Yeah.
2 of them they lost.
That might have been because of Khalil Mack being in the backfield all night. He had 6
Oh, for
sacks.
sure.
It was, yes.
For sure. However, though, like if they don't have those fumbles and they keep possession on those drives, they might have gotten some points out of them. You know, obviously it's not guaranteed, but it's very possible, and it could have been potentially a Raiders win. No, I don't expect much coming back with Jimmy Garoppolo coming back, because Jimmy's never really been that downfield passer that I think the Raiders need them to be. He's always that dink and dunk
game manager
type quarterback. He'll throw it down deep a few times a game, but it's not going to be anything crazy. And the Raiders, I think, would do better with that type of quarterback.
Yeah.
Talking about, defenses forcing turnovers. Austin, what's going on with your Patriots?
So the next game we're going to talk about is going to be 49ers and the Cardinals. How about CMC, guys? 4 touchdowns.
You're just gonna ignore that, or
He had to talk about his Steelers. You got to talk about your 38-3 drubbing to the Cowboys.
Yeah, you know what? It was a pathetic of a loss.
How are you guys going to sit there and make Dak Prescott look like a good QB? Why?
Mac Jones looked horrendous. You know what?
Why?
The Patriots.
Why are you guys even in the NFL?
The Patriots defense still got 10 points. All right, so I'm happy. I'm enthralled about that. I'm loving that. Listen, Dak Prescott does this every year in the regular season, though, so it's not really even against the Patriots. He looks like a good quarterback in the regular season, especially early to mid season.
To be fair, 14 points were scored off turnovers, like a pick 6 and a fumble return.
Yeah, and that fumble return was on like the 12-yard line, something like that. It was in technically the red zone, right? It was.
Yeah,
I think it was the 12-yard line, I believe, at least. But then Mac Jones kind of played pretty poorly. 12 of 21, 150, and 2 interceptions, and then I believe he had a couple fumbles.
I would say New England's offense isn't like one of the best in the league, but Mac Jones have been playing well. Ramondre Stevenson have been playing well. The receiving core and Hunter Henry have been playing all right. Dallas's defense still looked pretty good without Trayvon Diggs, and if they can play that kind of level of football without him, then they might not miss a beat.
The Patriots' offense is decent enough to keep them in some games, but not good enough to win late, right? And a lot of that has to do with kind of Mac Jones, but also I think more so the receiving core that they have, right? They don't have really anyone special. They don't really have anyone good. They got 2 good tight ends. That's about it. I think those are their. And then they have Ramondre Stevenson, which I think is their best playmaker on offense. And he had a horrible game, 14 carries for 30 yards. They don't really have anyone of note. Hunter Henry led him in receiving. And then Demario Douglas was next with 2 catches for 45 yards. And then Kendrick Bourne, 2 catches for 36 yards. You know, if there's one thing I can say that I'm happy about this Patriots season this year is that they don't have Matt Patricia calling the offensive plays.
I don't even know how that man still has a job after the Lions experiment.
Well, because, I mean, okay, I can understand it because sometimes people are not meant to be head coaches, but can be damn good coordinators and assistant coaches.
Yeah,
right?
I guess that makes sense with Jim Schwartz, the Lions head coach, but then he's found his niche as being defensive coordinator for the Eagles for the past 10 years. He's been really good.
Yeah, you can be a good coordinator or assistant coach, but sometimes some people are just not meant to be head coaches, and that's okay, right? Because teams still need good coordinators. So you can be a great coordinator, but be a horrible head coach. Very possible.
Yeah.
Like
thing I
Bill
wanna do-
Bill
I mean,
O'Brien, which I hate, is a horrible head coach,
the one thing I
but he's
do
a
hate,
pretty good
though,
offensive coordinator.
but they need to stop calling it the Bill Belichick tree when they refer to all these coaches that are after him. It's not the Bill Belichick tree. It's Bill Parcells. Belichick was under him. It's the Bill Parcells tree.
Yeah.
I mean, you could work it back further than Bill, too. But, like...
I disagree.
You know, bro, like, when you talk about coaching trees, what about the 49ers? Host of many great coaching trees.
Yeah.
Hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Smashing
Cuddies
35-16.
got me that win.
All right.
Is Arizona just playing above their pay grade right now with a bad roster? What is up?
Joshua Dobbs putting on a show. James Conner looking like a sub.
I was going to say Connor playing consistently, and Dobbs has been... Like, I was questioning why they even, like, when they cut Colt McCoy and then traded for Dobbs, I was like, why? At least McCoy knows your offense. And Dobbs is coming in and is like, I'm going to have a 3,500-yard season and, like, a 3-to-1 touchdown to turnover ratio for no reason.
Yeah, but Brock Purdy did pass for 95% on that Cardinals defense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, the fact that they lost by 19. Mm-hmm. Your quarterback does that, and you only lost by 19. And that team's arguably,
thank you,
to most people, probably the best team in the NFL at the moment. And going into the season, Arizona was considered the worst. Like, yeah, you got beat, but I'd be pretty proud if I was Arizona.
There's pride to be held in this, yeah.
Arizona's had I would kind of actually say, a successful season so far.
They, even though they're 1-3, they've played better than I've expected in all 4 games.
That team wants to fucking win.
They're like, we don't want Caleb Williams.
Yeah, exactly.
We want Kyler and more Call of Duty.
He's supposed to be coming back soon.
You want to talk about a shootout, though?
And it's not going to happen.
I don't feel like there's much to talk about the Cardinals, 49ers. Dobbs was
the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is CMC got 4 touchdowns.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, while we talk about a shootout, what about Zach Wilson putting on a fucking premiere show against the Chiefs? They lost, but
it was a fluke.
Zach Wilson, you think it's a fluke?
I don't necessarily think it's a fluke.
I think he can come back.
He can.
The reason I have more optimism is this time he got to spend an off season with Aaron Rodgers, and he's at least going to get another one.
Exactly.
And it might not be much, but like, unless like you're just not cut out to even be a backup in the NFL, like just gone. Like, you having 2 off seasons with a guy who is at worst a top 10 QB all time, like, you gotta learn something. He's going to get at least marginally better from that. You have
and
to,
I think
at least.
And I think if the Jets really want to be more competitive in games and have a chance of winning them late, they really need to grind down the defense and run the ball more than 16 times as a team. You have 2 great backs in the backfield, and then you have Michael Carter, who's a really good third, still a good running back. Run them more.
Yep.
Right. Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook should not be getting 6 and 5 carries.
Right?
Correct. They run it.
They should each individually get 15 at least.
If they ran it 30 carries combined between those 2, I think it's a different story. And I think the Jets
win that game. Yeah, they win that game if they get 30 carries. What did I just say before you said the 30 carry mark? 15 each. I'm like, they get 30 carries in that fucking running back core. They are going to win that game against Kansas City, and they're going to be 2-2 right now instead of this trailing 1-3 in this tough AFC fucking East.
I was going to say, Breece Hall's been efficient when he's gotten a lot of touches this season. He's had fantasy relevant weeks, whereas Dalvin Cook just has not gotten touches like really at all, no matter what the situation this season. And I think they're not
the backfield.
No,
if you want to take pressure off Zach Wilson and not put everything on his shoulders when you have great receivers around him, give the ball to your talented running backs. You didn't go out and get Dalvin Cook when you had Breece Hall and Michael Carter for no reason. Use him.
Use that backfield. Put in the work. And then the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes had his worst game in a while.
Yes.
1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Wasn't very efficient passing the ball, 18 for 30.
To be fair, so far this season, I think they might not have the overall best defense. They have a top 10 overall defense, but I think just secondary, I think the Jets secondary is the best in the league. So.
It is one of the better defenses the Chiefs have played. I will agree with that. But they
it's
also
not
play
even
the
all
Lions.
sauce. Whitehead is leading the league in interceptions.
And then you had, for the Chiefs, you had Travis Kelce, 6 for 60. Good game. Isaiah Pacheco, 3 catches, 43 yards, but had a good game running the ball, 20 carries for 115 and a touchdown. Like, if Breece Hall got 20 carries, it's a Jets win, I think.
Yeah, especially since he got over 50 yards with 6 carries.
Exactly. Like 9.8 yards per carry. That's freaking insane. No, he's not going to hold that the whole game. I get that. But he would at least get you the 100 yards and probably a touchdown, which makes all the difference.
It does, especially when you lose by 3.
Exactly. So I think the Jets like this whole year so far has been weird. They've been relying too much on the quarterback to make plays, which I think is wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Zach Wilson plays I think his best ball when he's not the sole focus. Yeah, he's not relied on to make those big plays. Right. And
he knew he wasn't the big talk and getting he wasn't the one going to get plastered by the announcers because they're too focused on Taylor Swift.
That's a fair point.
No pressure.
No pressure. It's Taylor Swift, man.
Under pressure.
Travis Kelce's making her famous.
Coming down on me.
Travis Kelce's making her. Speaking of Taylor Swift, Seahawks Giants played yesterday. Man, was that an ugly game, but an ugly game from a penalty perspective. So they just had some horrendous calls. Not like bad calls, but like just dumb penalties in the first half, especially when I was watching the game. Just like unnecessary holdings, personal fouls. I think it was I forgot which team it was, but they had like 3 holding calls back to back to back. And they ended up getting like 1st and 25. Or maybe it was false starts. It was like 1st and 25 on their 10-yard line.
You know, Seattle just felt like they were in control that whole game, though. You know, like.
Yeah, they might not it might not show on the scoreboard till later in the game, but like
it's one of those things where like the Giants are missing Barkley. You know, like it's big.
Well, Daniel Jones is a completely different quarterback. He's 2 different quarterbacks when Barkley plays and when he doesn't. When Barkley plays, he's a serviceable game manager. When Barkley doesn't play, he needs to go hit the rock up and join the XFL. But apparently, Brian DeBall and the Giants think that that's worth $40 million a year.
Stonks.
Yeah, he's got that contract-itis right now. I would like to say.
Gino was a mediocre start at best. You know, like 12, 13 points. Yeah.
The touchdown saved his day.
Kenneth Walker, he should have been locked in as your RB2 at worst. You know, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, you know, like, you might start him. He got you like 5-6 points, you know, like. I think it was an off week for Daniel, but like. At the end of the day, I think Jones.
Daniel Jones.
I think Jones could be a serviceable QB2. I do.
The team fully healthy, and if someone on the receiving core can actually be like, all right, I'll be that guy. He doesn't have to be like a great receiver, but just step up like somebody. Like the dead years for like after Calvin and before Stafford left, like that Marvin Jones became something like that. Someone that's not going to be like a league, like a fantasy league winner or anything like that, but like a leader. Just not like Marvin Jones was he became the go-to guy for Stafford in the last years of his Detroit career, and they need someone to do that. Whether that be Darius Slayton or Sterling Shepard, they need it. Or Hyatt needs to develop quick.
Fantasy-wise, right? Like Noah Fant played pretty well, but 51 of those yards came on one play. And when I tell you that they rolled him down at the 1 yard line instead of giving him that touchdown, I was so fucking ecstatic because that gave Kenneth Walker the chance to punch in for the touchdown. And as soon as he did, I knew I beat Ben. I was so happy. Oh my God. The amount of excitement that went through my body when I saw that he was down, I was jumping for fucking joy. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man.
So
circling it all back, it's one of those situations where, like, when the offensive play calling just makes sense, it happens.
He's still mad at Matt Canada.
Fuck Matt Canada! I hate maple syrup now!
Matt Canada, best offensive coordinator around. All right, anyways, that wraps up our week 4 highlights. I think, unless you guys got anything else to say? Real quick.
No.
All right, I want to go through quick sit starts for week 5. I want you guys to give me one start and one sleeper for each game as I say them. First game, Bears Commanders.
Sam Howell, if you consider him a sleeper. But, like,
okay.
I like that.
I like it. I think it'll be a shootout.
All right, who's your start from that game?
Sam Howell.
I thought you said he was a sleeper. My bad.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I thought you were doing start sets. My start that game is Kenneth Walker.
The Bears Commanders, my guy.
Next week.
Yeah, week 5.
Oh.
Yeah, we're starting the week 5. We're good.
Okay. I'm a fucking idiot.
We all are.
My bad. Okay. I thought I said week 5. Maybe I didn't.
I didn't think you did.
Bears Commanders. Basically, just give me your start and who you think could be a sleeper from that game, and who you'd sit.
Yeah. So one start, one sleeper.
I'd say Antonio Gibson.
Okay.
I don't think the running attack's going to be efficient against this Bears defense. Herbert for the Bears, I would start. I think he's going to have about a 75-yard performance with a TD, maybe a receiving yard or two. I think he's going to average 14 points. I think it's a flex start. But, like, if you drafted Justin Fields, not Herbert, excuse me. Other Justin, not Herbert.
My man's confused. He's so angry about Matt Canada right now.
I hate maple syrup, bro. I hate it. I eat my pancakes. I eat my pancakes dry as fuck now. I hate Matt Canada.
My man's a butter-only guy on his pancakes.
Nah, not even, bro. I eat that shit dry as fuck. Plain pancakes because I don't want to even acknowledge that Canada has a culture, bro.
Oh my God. All right, Travis. Your turn.
All right.
One start, one sit, one sleeper from the game.
All right. One start for sure. I'm going to say Sam Howell, especially the way Chicago's been getting decimated through the air. And he played well against the Eagles. It's a confidence builder. Chicago is nowhere near the same caliber of defense. I think he's going to have a field day. Okay. You're going to sit all running backs in this matchup. And I just don't. Washington's defensive line's good, and I don't think Chicago has what it takes to do that. To get going, Herbert or Rashawn Johnson. I don't think either of them are going to have enough efficiency to be fantasy worthy at all. And then Antonio Gibson is just all season, not really. He's touchdown dependent for his fantasy relevancy. And then Brian Robinson, I think he'd have a decent day, but Chicago's linebacking core and defensive line's like the only part of their team that's been all right.
Mm-hmm.
But and then my sleeper, I think DJ Moore can have a good game, a real good game. And I say that because even though Washington's defense is good,
I want to say this. Tevin Jenkins is projected to start this game.
Okay.
Does that change it for you, Travis?
Is that for Washington?
The Bears, offensive guard.
offensive guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it still doesn't.
Okay.
Jags, Bills.
Jags, Bills.
Sitting Josh Allen, of course, right?
No.
Yeah.
It must, like, the way Josh Allen's played the last 2 weeks, must start him. And
Mhm.
obviously, and all the big names in this game. Lawrence, I think, has a chance to have a bounce back week. Allen, Diggs. And then I'm just going to say my sleeper this week, it's going to be Evan Ingram. I think he's going to have a solid game. Tre'Davious White being out. Secondary is going to have to switch and adjust a little bit this week. And I think Ingram's going to be the guy that gets freed up. I'm going to sit Travis Etienne. Buffalo's run defense has been pretty good. And
Fuck you.
Travis Etienne's been inconsistent so far. So
Shane?
I just think that's a sketchy one for him.
I think my start of the week, even though I hate him, you have to start him at this point. Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the obvious start. Makes the most sense. My sleeper of the week, controversial to Travis's opinion, Travis Etienne. I think he's going to have a really good week. I think he's going to get like 5 or 6 receptions, and that's going to compensate for him not getting a rushing touchdown this week. Because up to this point, he's been touchdown reliant.
Yeah.
While I'm sitting this week, I don't like Stephon Diggs in this matchup. I don't. I think there's potential. I think it's boom or bust potential, but if you're not in a position where you can afford a boom or bust, I'd go ahead and sit him.
So do you think Gabe Davis is going to have a better game?
I think Gabe Davis might have a good game. I think Jacksonville might lock him down, though.
So you think Jacksonville's going to win the game?
Allegedly.
I hate you. Fucking hate you. All right. Travis, Texans, Falcons.
I'm going to have to ride the hot streak with CJ. I think Houston gets it done. I think they win. I think you CJ Stroud's got to be a must start right now. Like you got to start him, and then Bijan on the opposite side. You're benching Kyle Pitts until he doesn't play for the Atlanta Falcons, and then sleeper this week. I think this is the week Drake London shows up.
Actually pops off because he's had some decent games, just nothing great.
Yep.
Nothing crazy.
And then Nico Collins is a must start as well. At this point.
All right, Shane, since you got a mouthful of food, what's your thoughts?
This
hot dog's pretty good, man.
Shut the fuck up, bro. I love that shit. Tim Robinson's hilarious, bro. Man, oh man. I don't know, man. Like, comes down to a couple things, like
football.
I don't think CJ Stroud is going to be the start this week. I don't.
He comes down to earth this week.
Well,
he said that last week.
I just don't see CJ Stroud throwing more than 2 touchdowns against the Falcons defense.
I can accept that.
Like, that's kind of where I'm at with the Falcons. Like, their defense is very good. Desmond Ridder, I wouldn't start either. This is a matchup where I'm kind of like more defensive focused. Dameon Pierce is going to get a lot of touches if Texans coach correctly. Same thing with Bijan. Algier would be my sleeper. My starter of the week would either be Dameon Pierce or Bijan Robinson, one or the other. I think both are going to have a really good week. My sleeper of the week is going to be Algier, and my sits are going to be CJ Stroud and Desmond.
All right. We're going to start doing rapid fire. Panthers, Lions.
I'm Sam Laporta must start every week this week or the rest of the season. 100%.
Every week this week, hell yeah.
Every week this week, 100% of the time. it works 60% of the time. But you're gonna start Sam Laporta for the remainder of the season. I'm gonna sit Carolina's running backs, and then sleeper this week. I think Bryce Young has an okay day.
I think my start this week is going to be Jared Goff. I think my sleeper this week is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. Because up to this point, he hasn't paid off a lot. I think he's going to show something off against this Panthers defense. I think my bench of the week is going to be Bryce Young.
I really like that sleeper pick, Jahmyr Gibbs. I like it.
Thank you.
Titans, Colts.
All right, I'm going to say sit. You're going to sit Ryan Tannehill this week. This is not the week. Derrick Henry's your must start. And then I'm going to say my sleeper this week is actually going to be Alec Pierce.
I mean, he did come out last week.
Mm-hmm.
He led the team, I believe, in targets and yards.
So I think this is a good spot. Let's see if we can do it. Keep the momentum going 2 weeks in a row. And I mean, Tennessee's offense has looked like what on paper, but they've been overall been playing pretty decent. So it could be a tough opponent, especially that defense over there in Tennessee has been playing pretty well. But I think Alec Pierce gets it done.
Shane?
I'm thinking my starter this week, I got 2 starters again. Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor if he plays. I think my sleeper this week is going to be Ryan Tannehill. I think he's going to go ahead and pick apart this Colts defense. I think he's going to have a really good game. I'm expecting about 30 points out of him. And then on the other side, which is my go ahead and bench him, guys, I would say Pittman. He's been Pittman or D-Hop. I want to start wide receiver 1 that's routinely a wide receiver 1 in this matchup. This is going to be a run-oriented matchup. This is going to be a matchup where they're going to be packing 7 in the box on both sides of the ball. This is going to be old school. There's no ifs, buts about it, especially if Jonathan Taylor plays. It's just going to how it's going. It's just how it's going to be on both sides of the ball, man. They're going to be grinding it out. They got Derrick Henry. They got Jonathan Taylor on the other side. It's going to be one of them situations where, Tennessee might go ahead and pull ahead by a touchdown. I think that's what's going to happen. But, it's going to be a run-oriented game. It's going to be smash mouth football.
I like
Fun game to watch for sure.
Giants, Dolphins.
Yeah, Giants-wise, start, sit, I low-key, am thinking Tyreek Hill is my sit for the week on this matchup. I think Lions, wow. Giants secondary is going to be able to match up pretty well, and I think that they're going to be focusing Tyreek Hill. I don't think he's going to be the start this week. I would sit him. I'm kind of scared to start him, low-key. I don't think he's going to get a lot of yards after catch, and that's what he relies on. But that being said, Tyreek Hill is a dynamite player. Definitely hold on to him. If you got him in a flex spot, I would do that. But it's one of those situations where he's not my wide receiver 1 this week. My sleeper this week is going to be Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's going to pick up a lot of those targets that aren't going to be on Tyreek Hill because he's going to be triple covered. And that's just what's going to happen. Giants are too good to not do that on the coaching side of things. They're going to double, triple cover Tyreek Hill, make sure he doesn't get the ball, make sure they don't get yards after the catch. And my sit this week, man, I'm so happy Ben is in here. Daniel Jones got to sit this week.
Hell yeah. Travis?
I was going to say the same thing. Daniel Jones is a sit every week for me. I don't know what Ben's thinking. But, yeah, Daniel Jones, you definitely sit. Must start Tua. He's going to light it up again this week.
He's been hot.
I think he's been playing pretty well. Until he slows down, you play him. And my sleeper this week is going to be Raheem Mostert. I think he's going to bounce back after getting benched, or not benched, but completely out-touched last week by Devon O'Kane. I think it's going to be more of a split backfield again, and he's going to get more opportunity to get some touches. And I think he's not going to obviously have 4. I'm not expecting 4 touchdown game again. 70-point games don't happen very often in football, but he'll be fantasy relevant again.
I got you. Saints, Patriots. Oof.
Start Mac Jones. Well, sleeper Mac Jones. Sleeper Mac Jones.
That pick.
Yeah.
Start Stevenson. I'm trying to think who I want to bench, man.
I'd probably bench Derek Carr personally.
I don't know. I think Derek Carr's going to have a decent game. I think he's going to have 250
or Christian Gonzalez. Yeah.
Sure.
Man. I wouldn't start Kamara.
Yeah.
Personally.
I like it. Travis?
If I was going to say Saints running backs in general do not start, but since you said Kamara, I'm going to say Michael Thomas do not start. But my must start is Derek Carr because no Matthew Judon, no Christian Gonzalez. That's arguably the two out of your three best players on that New England defense.
100%.
So I think Derek Carr can have a field day. I think Chris Olave is a must start as well in that sense. And then sleeper, I like Hunter Henry. I think that Mac Jones to him connection is going to be special. He's been getting a lot of red zone targets, so
All right.
I think Hunter Henry's going to play well.
And then the game I want to hear Shane's opinion about Ravens Steelers.
Ooh, rivalry.
Start everybody on the Ravens, everybody on the Steelers. Kansas City guys drop.
End the story. Got it. Travis.
I think this is the week where your must start is Mark Andrews. I don't like anyone from the Steelers, honestly, this week. And then
Pat Freiermuth is a potential sleeper.
Yeah, my sit of the week is honestly, I think this game's going to be ugly, and I think Lamar does bad. He hasn't had any big bulk, crazy, like more than 2 touchdown games or anything like 300-plus yard games as well, and he's been turnover prone this season so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't think Lamar is going to have a great game.
All right, Bengals Cardinals.
Cardinals. They're going to take it all day. Start anybody you got on the Cardinals, bro.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. This Bengals defense is looking abysmal. Dobbs, that's my sleeper of the week. Burrow should be the start of the week, but I'm not confident in it. But I'm going to say it anyways. Then my sit of the week is going to be Mixon.
At this point, I'd call Burrow more of a sleeper than Dobbs. Have Dobbs and call Dobbs more of a start of the week, personally.
Yeah, at this point, but like it doesn't feel routinely right. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't feel right, but the way the first 4 weeks have gone, that's kind of how it is at the moment.
Yeah. I think Burrow, I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this is the game where Burrow bounces back a little bit. Chase has a good game, but I'm not going to really include them. I think the player that's your sleeper is Tyler Boyd, especially if T. Higgins is going to miss some time. I think he's going to have a really good game. Arizona's overachieving, but their defense isn't great. I think my sleeper or your must start this week is Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown. Since his defense has been bad, the secondary has been bad. Dobbs has been playing well. I think Hollywood's going to get some targets. He's going to get some yardage and a touchdown. And then
Freiermuth is out for 2 or 3 weeks. By the way, Chad notified me.
Ooh, and I also think that your must sit is also Mixon. Yeah, that's Arizona's run defense has been what's been okay.
Eagles Rams.
Hurts is my start. Stafford is my sleeper. And personally, I think I'm going to go ahead and bench DeAndre Swift here.
Travis?
My bench is Kyron Williams. He's been hot, but the Eagles D-line defense is different. My sleeper this week is going to be Dallas Goedert. He's going to break out. He's finally going to have a game. And then just because that Rams secondary has been playing better, and if they're playing good, that means they're all over A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And then my must start, Puka.
Jets Broncos.
Start.
I'm going to say start Zach Wilson.
I was going to say sleeper Zach Wilson.
Okay. I'm going to say start Zach Wilson, and sleeper are the Jets running backs because they don't get used.
I was going to go ahead and sleep Williams on the Broncos side. I think he could get a touchdown or 2 this game. I think it's realistic. You know, he's getting the touches. He just hasn't had the production yet that will reflect that. You know, I would start Zach Wilson. He had a good enough week the last 2 weeks to, like, see the potential there. You're like, okay, Zach Wilson may have some juice. And when you watch him play, you're saying, there's something there now all of a sudden. He's done with MILFs. He's playing football again, and that's a good sign, you know what I'm saying? Williams is going to be my sleeper for the week. And honestly, if I had to pick something to bench, I would go ahead and bench Dalvin Cook. Don't even have him on your starting lineup. That's a mistake.
That's fair. Yeah. Javonte Williams might not even play the hip flex
Yep.
injury. They haven't really released anything new about it yet, but
Yeah,
he might
they
not
were
play.
saying he was questionable,
Some of the
according to my source.
Yeah.
I would say Zach Wilson's my sleeper, but my must
If-
starts
If
Garrett
McLaughlin
Wilson.
starts, I'm still in the same position, by the way.
That's fair.
Okay.
I would say Garrett Wilson's my must start this week, and then my bench. You're benching Russell Wilson. Don't even try. It's gonna be bad.
Chiefs Vikings.
Yeah.
Chiefs Vikings.
Start Patty.
Oh yeah.
Obvious. I think Kirk
Mhm.
Cousins is a start. I don't want to call him my sleeper, so I'm going to put an asterisk there. Kirk Cousins
Fair.
is also a start. My sleeper for the week is going to be Pacheco. And my bench for the week will be Jefferson.
All right, so
Travis?
my sit for Kansas City is probably going to be Taylor Swift.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm so sick and tired of that. But no,
I'm cool with it.
my must start is Kirk Cousins. He's been lighting it up. I think he'll bounce back. It was an ugly game last week, but I think they can do it. I think he'll bounce back and have a decent game against Kansas City. It's going to be a shootout, in my opinion. I don't want to say JJ just because that's an obvious, but my sit this week is Alex Madison. It's not going to go well like last week.
You
And
think JJ is the obvious set here?
no, I think it's the obvious start. But
I think he's a sit, man.
I don't think you ever sit JJ. I think he's matchup
I-
proof. But
I don't
my
know, man.
sleeper this week, I think this is Sky Moore's week.
Kansas City
Cowboys.
specifically plays a lot of cover 2. I want to talk about this. Let's talk about the JJ subject. Over 4 games, he's been averaging about 7.5 receptions per game, about 120 yards, about 130 yards per game, about 0.75% touchdowns per game. Okay? Can Kansas City hold him under that?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, the potential for it's there. I mean, he did finish with only 88 yards last week, but
On 129 yards total.
yeah, I was gonna say I think they pass it more this week. So.
What happens if he
and
only
I think
gets
they
targeted
stuffed-
7 times, 5 catches, 50 yards, and OTDs? That's a realistic scenario.
Mm,
And if
Mm.
I'm a Super Bowl winning head coach, I'm aware of that. And I'm going to adjust.
I wouldn't be surprised if
Yeah.
he gets like 50, 60 yards, no tutties. I
Yeah.
could see it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I could see it. Cowboys, 49ers.
my sit is Tony Pollard. I think that's going to get ugly. My sleeper, George Kittle. He hasn't been himself this season yet, and this is I'm going a lot of tight ends with my sleepers. I feel like some tight ends are coming on this week. They got some good matchups for it to happen. And then my must start, CMC. Obviously, I'm going the easy way on this one. Until someone stops him, he starts.
I mean, he's the RB1 right now,
110%.
so I get it. Shane?
I'm the same situation. CMC or Brock Purdy, automatic starts. My sleeper for the week is going to be CD Lamb. I really do think he's going to have a 150-yard performance against the San Francisco 49ers, especially because they're going to be shutting down Tony Pollard. I think they're going to be packing at least 6 in the box every down. That's kind of the situation that they've been playing all season. I don't think Cowboys win, but I think because of Pollard getting shut down, CeeDee Lamb's going to get 7 extra targets this game. He's going to bring in 4 extra targets this game. I think he's going to get an extra 40, 50 yards and maybe a touchdown to pay off for it. My sit this game has got to be Ayuk. I think this game's going to be a little bit more grindy than we'd like to imagine.
Yeah,
I can get with that. All right, into our last game, and our only Monday night game, Raiders-Packers. How y'all feeling?
I'm thinking, man, you got to start Jacobs. He had a bad week. You got to start him.
And the Lions just tore Green Bay up on the ground too. So yeah.
Yeah, you got to think about it like this, Jacobs. He's got to start. My sleeper for the week is going to be Love. He's going to come back, have a really good week. My sit for the week, I don't know if there's a sleeper or a sit for the week because it's like I just kind of named the other two positions that I'd start. Maybe Watson would be my sit for the week. I don't think anybody's going to have a spectacular game outside of Jordan Love. Like, that's the only player I'd start out of this game. So it's kind of a tough situation. I don't even really want to sleep anybody.
I would say my sit is going to be Jimmy G if he plays. He's definitely my sit. My must start is going to be Devontae Adams if he plays. Just because Green Bay's been playing most of all season without Jair Alexander because he's still coming back from his injury last year, I'm pretty sure. And if they don't have an elite corner covering Adams, he's going to have a field day if he gets a bunch of targets. My sleeper, Aaron Jones comes back this week. I think he's going to be the only one that's somewhat effective on that team.
I can see it. Shane, you want to recap some things Chat has said?
Yeah. Let's go and run this back. Turns out I have a ton of hydration.
Just spill your water.
My fucking handle broke. I have a lid on it just for situations just like that.
Oh.
That's a major component to the gallon.
That would have been fun if it just spilled everywhere.
No, you fucking cunt. All right. Chat saying Canada has a burner account. Screenshots make it look like it. And if that's true, he's fired soon or relieved. Twitter account. That was the interception. They tried it. It was the identical play they called against the Raiders, and they read it. Mix the shit up to get Austin deep. Talking about Steelers still.
Yeah.
No, in his interview, he comes off like an asshole. Canada got Tomlin's son into Maryland. Well, spice there, huh? Yeah, that's true. The changes are we are practicing in pads this week. I seen his press conference. We haven't had a 30-point game since Canada. Think about that. 3 years, no 30-point games. No 30-point games.
In this era of offensive firepower.
Yeah.
When there was, 6 or 7 teams last season that averaged 30 or more?
Tomlin said Pickett will practice tomorrow on a limited basis. Same. My boyfriend said, but yes, he is smoking crack. I think referencing to Matt Canada.
Well, just for everyone
Washington
to know.
has played better than I thought they would. I agree. I was high on the Commanders coming out the offseason, but they playing good.
Just for all the fantasy players out there, just keep in mind this is the first week bye weeks happen as well. Cleveland, the Chargers, Seattle, and Tampa are all on bye this week.
Yep.
Makes me sad, but that's okay.
Yep.
I'm missing out on some Rashad White in a week I could use him because if Saquon doesn't play this week, then I'm going to have to lean on Miles Sanders or Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, that's not happy. You don't do that.
Yeah.
All right, Cass, want to go ahead and send us out?
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching on the Twitch. Keep that coming. We're going to try to go live every single time we record. We love it. Just make sure if you haven't followed already, hit that follow on Shane's Twitch at derpimation.ttv. Come join the Facebook group. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your enemies. We don't care. We want them all. And have them join the Facebook group, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, everything. We got lots of great content coming. And we're out.
Not yet. One last thing.
I was just kidding. I'm a liar.
Matt Canada is not the problem. Kenny Pickett is. Good night.